In the virtual world, he's a god-tier fighter, but in real life, just another punching bag. Until one day, his fighting game combos, power moves finishers all unlock in the real world, making him unstoppable. Guy comments on the people playing a fighting game, questioning, "What's so fun about pulling off fighting techniques in a game?" He says that a real battle has to be real after all. Then turning to Suho, he asks if he agrees with him. Suho feels nervous, it's clear he doesn't agree, but admitting that in front of this guy isn't an option. The consequences might be far worse than a simple disagreement. So he just laughs awkwardly and nods, pretending to agree. He's a second-year student at Nichinacho High School. His name is Suho Heya. Right after Suho agrees, the bully pulls back his fist and says that if Suho agrees with him, then surely he'll understand why he wants to punch him. Suho, however, doesn't even consider this a battle. Him fighting a weakling like this guy isn't worth calling a fight. But the bully seems delighted by this interaction. He begins showing off moves. He calls a low attack and a middle attack. Suho keeps quiet, but in his mind, he's fully aware this isn't some friendly match. This is plain bullying. The punches keep coming. The bully beats him until he declares Suho knocked out, proudly announcing himself as the winner. The students around just laugh and watch. Endo, the bully, treats the beating like some kind of personal training session he has generously given to Suho. He expects Suho to thank him for it. Suho wants nothing more than to scream at him, but instead, he forces a smile and says thank you. It's his way of surviving. Submission without resistance. That's the only strategy a weakling like him has. Nobody in class wants to get involved, so they simply avoid him. But then, a voice calls out to congratulate him for surviving another day. It's Yoshikawa, the only one who treats Suho like a human being. He's part of the unofficial weakling alliance, formed between the two to endure school life. Suho updates Yoshikawa, saying he took 1 blow to the face and 4 to the body. Then he advises Yoshikawa not to try acting tough, and just go down easily to avoid unnecessary pain. The strategy, he reminds him, is submission without resistance. Yoshikawa understands immediately, and even asks if he should take off his glasses beforehand, who tells him it's probably a good idea. This is what they talk about every day. Dreams of a bright youth don't exist for them. Suddenly bag hits Suho on the head. Not even classroom time is free from mockery. The student who threw it claims it was a mistake, but the smirk on his face tells otherwise. He then asks Suho to throw the bag in the trash for him. Suho smiles and obeys, sticking to the same strategy reality Suho thinks is the worst kind of game. But once he's back home, everything changes. He powers on his PC and starts streaming. This is where he comes alive, where he's himself in this world. He's known respect, even admired. He's one of the most famous players of the online fighting game, Battle Arena. Well known for using the character Rai. Online they call him Rai Master Heya. Today is special. He's on the verge of hitting a 100-win streak. Comments flood the chat. One even compliments his looks. A message he appreciates more than he expected. He never thought of himself as gross. But this is the only place where he feels like a hero. As the game loads, he wonders what might happen if he actually hits that 100th win. Maybe someone will want an interview. Maybe he'll become famous. Maybe even the people who bully him will apologize and tell him he's amazing. He imagines girls wanting to play games with him, calling him cute, but he shakes those thoughts off. It's silly. Then his match begins. His final opponent appears, someone named Fate Shifter. He's never heard of him. The guy even uses Rai just like Suho. Perfect mirror match. Suho feels confident. There's no way a nobody can beat the Rai Master. But the moment round 1 starts, Suho finds himself overwhelmed. His health bar drops rapidly as the opponent lands combo after combo. Suho can't believe it. He loses the first round in seconds. He wonders who this guy is. The player is so good it almost seems like he's cheating. But Suho quickly realizes that's not the case. This guy is simply skilled. Suho can feel it still. It's just 1 round. He tells himself he can bounce back. Round 2 starts. Suho gets serious. He calculates frames inputs, combos with precision, uses tactics. He remembers why he fell in love with this game. Because he's naturally good at it. He thinks if God were assigning stats to him, everything would be low except for 1 maxed out skill. Fighting games? He even jokes to himself, asking God why he messed up the rest of his stats so badly. And he wins. Round 2 inches, round 3. Things get intense, his health is critically low. But he doesn't give up. He reminds himself that God didn't give him this one talent for nothing. He still believes he can win. He's fighting not just for a win streak, but for the only thing he has left. And finally he wins. Then something strange happens. A message appears. User Heya has maxed out the player skill stat. He's never seen that before. Another screen reveals his new rank God. He's shocked. He's never even heard of a rank beyond Master. A notification informs him that he has unlocked God privileges. Then his opponent sends him a message, saying they've been waiting for a fighter like him. everything begins to change. His character Rise code rewrites itself. A new mode activates reality mode. A blinding light fills the screen, and then Rai. His in-game character steps out from the monitor. Suha can't believe it, but then the light and the character enter his body. He blacks out when he wakes up. The screen shows a message. Reality mode activated. He can't log in anymore. The stream is gone. His sanctuary has vanished. Now all he has left is this dreadful game called life. Despair sinks in. He slams his desk, which causes his sister Satomi to yell at him for being too loud. She tells him to play games quietly, but Suho doesn't appreciate her barging in. That's when he sees it, a health bar above her head. She can't see it when he points it out. She's confused. She thinks maybe he's gone crazy. Then when he steps too close trying to show her, she slaps him and calls him a creep. His health bar drops. Now he's sure this is real. He realizes he's running late for his job. When he gets there, the place is crowded, and he has to work hard like a slave. All his co-workers have health bars too. At first he wonders if this is just an illusion. Then, a colleague named Hiragi Wakana tells him she'll take care of drinks. Soho apologizes, but she says it's no problem. She's counting on him to cook. She's the only girl who speaks to him, normally, coincidentally. She resembles Lilong, his favorite female character from Battle Arena. He's had a small crush on her. But today, he notices something different. Her health bar is very low. He asks if she's feeling okay, but she says she's fine. She reminds him that it's just the two of them working today. Then she collapses. Suho catches her and urges her to rest while he takes care of things. Exhausting, but he pushes through. Later as they leave, she thanks him. Suho says it was nothing, and he's glad to see her health bar has recovered a little. She explains she's been up late, working on a university report. Suho tells her he could tell she was pale. He's trained his observation skills through fighting games. They start talking about gaming. Suho nervously admits he's just a guy with nothing going for him, except games, but Hiragi disagrees. She says that devoting yourself completely to one thing is something amazing. She even promises to pay him back. To Suho, she looks like an angel, but then a group of guys shows up. One of them mocks Suho. Refusing to believe he could ever be dating someone like Hiragi, he asks her to come to karaoke with them, claiming they're Suho's friends. Hiragi turns to Suho and asks if that's true. Terrified, Suho says nothing. She looks disappointed but agrees to go. The guys laugh and tell Suho he can go home. Hiragi winks and says she'll be fine on her own. Suho can only smile and walk away again. Submission is all he knows. But this time the sadness overwhelms him. He starts crying, he feels pathetic. And he remembers the title, Fate Shifter. Wasn't that what his opponent called himself? He thinks maybe that name wasn't random. Maybe he really can shift fate. Later that night, those guys lead Hiragi down a dark alley. She hesitates, asking once again if they're really Suho's friends. Suddenly a voice calls out, "It's Suho." He tells them to leave Hiragi alone. But before he can act, one of the guys punches him. His health drops still. Something stirs inside him. Why did his body move on its own? Why did he come? He prepares to fight. He sees Ishibashi's health bar appear. As Ishibashi steps forward, Suho sees something new, an imaginary game controller. In his mind he imagines blocking and does. Ishibashi laughs, but Suho doesn't stop there. He imagines inputting a combo. His body follows a light punch, a strong kick, a massive uppercut. Ishibashi falls, health bar 0. Everyone is stunned, even Hiragi. Suho checks his own health. It's halfway he realizes something. His reality was once a shitty game, but now it's a fighting game. And finally, it's one he can win. Soho finally gets a boost of confidence. But before he can do anything else, another guy charges at him with a punch. Soho flinches at first, fear taking over, but then he steadies himself. He doesn't want to be scared anymore. He focuses, visualizes the controller in his brain, and begins inputting a combo. Once again it works. He wins, because these moves are just like Rise. It feels just like playing the fighting game he loves so much. He even manages to beat Yamashita again, blocking, countering with a middle kick. He's doing it all. He can actually fight now. This really is just like a fighting game. Once Yamashita is down, only their boss remains. Suho turns to him and says that he'll repeat himself. If the boss doesn't want to end up like his goons, he better back off from her now. Suho feels genuinely cool saying that, but the boss doesn't take the warning seriously. Even Hiragi tells him to stop, but he refuses to listen. Suho then uses Rai's special move, Flying Thunder Punch, and sends the guy flying in dramatic fashion. He hopes this is his moment to save Hiragi, and maybe spend the rest of the night with her. It's the perfect battle plan. Kojima, the boss, still thinks he has a shot. As the fight begins, Suho rushes straight at him with a forward dash and a heavy punch. Combo ending with Flying Thunder Punch, but nothing happens. Suho panics. Maybe he messed up the input. He tries again yelling the move's name, but a notification tells him all special techniques are locked for now. Then he gets punched hard. He tries to counter with an uppercut, but instead Kojima lands one on him. Soho's health bar drops dangerously low. One more hit, and it's over. Soho falls, he lies on the ground. Hiragi calls out to him, urging him to get up, but he remains down. Kojima shrugs, and says it's not his fault. Soho was the one who picked A. He doesn't care anymore. He walks toward his minions and tells them to get up, annoyed that they lost to someone as weak as Suho. But then Suho gets back up. Round 2. Kojima is irritated, but prepares to fight again. Suho realizes something. It's just like a game, no matter how little health he has. If there's even a sliver left, he can still move, but it's hard now. He wanted this to feel effortless. Just like in the game instead. It feels like one wrong move will end it. He can't use special techniques either, so he goes simple crouching. Heavy punch, it lands right on a weak point. Kojima goes down, his health bar nearly empty. In a game this wouldn't work, but reality is different. A one-hit instant takedown. Suho wonders if he really did it. Then Hiragi grabs his hand and tells him to come with her. They run. She tells him he shouldn't fight. She hates seeing him hurt. Suho realizes she's upset. Maybe winning by striking that kind of weak spot wasn't the best idea. Hiragi scolds him gently, saying he should think about how worried his family or girlfriend would be if they saw him like that. Suho apologizes, saying he was just worried about her. She thanks him, admitting he really surprised her with how strong he was. Once again, the way she looks at him makes her seem like an angel to Suho. He quietly confesses that he doesn't have a girlfriend. He sees this as the perfect opportunity to finally tell her how he feels, but before he can say anything, another guy appears. He says he's been looking for her, asks why she left him at the station, and what she's doing in a place like this. Hiragi's face lights up when she sees him. Suho watches her expression change and instantly knows this. This guy is someone important. He also looks intimidating. Hiragi introduces Suho, telling the guy that they work together, and that a lot of crazy things just happened. The guy, Ayumu, becomes visibly concerned and asks if she's okay. Suho notices Ayumu calls her Wakana without any honorifics. That means they must be really close. Ayumu offers Suho a handshake and thanks him for helping Hiragi. Suho simply replies that it's no big deal. Hiragi then mentions Suho's love for fighting games. Ayumu smiles and says he recently got into fighting games himself. That's when Suho decides to leave. Hiragi wishes him well on his way home. Suho walks away feeling crushed. Of course, she has a boyfriend. She's beautiful, and Ayumu is clearly good-looking. What chance did he think he had? As he leaves, he hears them talking about having time today to finally do that thing. Tonight, the words make Suho feel even worse. He wonders, are they talking about that? Then Ayumu suddenly calls out Suho's name and says that next time, they should play a fighting game together. Hearing this, Soho realizes something. For weaklings, the best way to survive with the least amount of damage is always submission, and so he smiles and does what he does best. He watches his dearly long, the girl who felt like a game heroine, walk away. He can only cry, but then a notification pops up. Level Up surprises him. He had completely forgotten that Battle Arena Reality Mode had levels. That means it's like an RPG. Now opponents' levels will show too. He looks around and sees Tanaka above his head, a health bar, and a level 4. Apparently that guy, is stronger than a middle-aged man. Suho opens his notification windows, searching for settings. If this is really a fighting game, there should be an interface for move lists or HUD settings. He soon finds it, a move list. Many moves are listed. Some are locked, and can only be used after unlocking them. One of them catches his eye. Lightning bullet ranged attacks. In a fighting game, they're essential. Being able to use something like that in real life would be completely insane, but exciting too, could turn the tide of any fight. Later back at school, the usual bullies are up to their antics. They complain that Suho isn't at school today, and grumble about how he dared to take a day off without their permission. Yoshikawa is there, as Suho didn't tell him anything. Suho watches through the classroom door window, feeling guilty that Yoshikawa is dealing with this alone. He realizes his friend is in trouble, all because Suho overslept. He checks Yoshikawa's level. Level 3, surprisingly. That's lower than his own. When he checks the bullies' levels, they're all quite high. Even the ones Suho defeated yesterday are still stronger than him. And Endo, he's level 10. Suho is overwhelmed, a bunch of angry thugs. His comrade, from the weakening alliance, in danger. What should he do? He looks at Yoshikawa. If it were him, maybe he'd be okay. Level 3 is decent, but then Suho remembers the alliance rules. Submission without resistance never help each other, so maybe he should just follow that rule and hide until the situation resolves. Just then, a notification appears. Mission save Yoshikawa, time limit 5 minutes. Suho's eyes widen. Reality mode has missions, and then he sees the reward. Unlock lightning bullet arranged attack. Something that would only make sense in a fighting game, but in real life, could be a game changer. Now he starts to think, can I really pull this off? It's insane, too many enemies. Too little time. But that reward, if he succeeds, things could seriously level up. The timer starts counting down. 5 minutes remain against that huge crowd. Suho has no idea what he's supposed to do. The bullies don't look pleased. But since Suho isn't around, they figure it can't be helped. So they decide to mess with Yoshikawa instead. One of them grabs him by the collar. Suddenly a voice calls out, telling them to stop. Suho steps in and asks them to let Yoshikawa go. Everyone turns surprised to see him. One of the bullies comments that he heard a funny story. How Suho managed to beat Kojima's group. Suho confirms it, and even Kojima warns Endo to be careful, saying that Suho went completely nuts yesterday. Suho gets excited again and walks forward, ready to fight instead of swinging. He bows and apologizes. He says he regrets what he did and is truly sorry. If anyone deserves to be hit, it's him after all. The mission only said to save Yoshikawa. It never mentioned beating anyone up. If he gets beaten instead, that's fine, as long as Yoshikawa is safe. That's a win. Heck, they might even let him off easy, if he apologizes properly. The best plan he can think of. Endo smirks and tells Yoshikawa he's lucky today. This is also good for Suho. Now Yoshikawa can retreat. A weakling like him should run, especially when his level is lower than Suho's. But then Kojima kicks Suho, and his health bar immediately starts dropping it. Becomes clear they're not holding back. More attackers join in. The ambush is so sudden, Suho doesn't even get time to guard. Attacks are coming from all directions. He's completely surrounded, unable to tell which way to hold his guard to block incoming hits. In the fighting game, all you had to do was hold the joystick in the direction opposite your opponent to block, but this is reality, and there's a reason fighting games are one-on-one. And the size and disappointment. This is just the same old Suho. What a letdown. He even came all this way himself. Endo then puts his shoe in front of Suho and tells him to lick it, and if he does, they'll let yesterday's incident slide. Suho feels weak. The crowd watches, whispering how creative the punishment is. Some even start feeling sorry for him, but no one dares intervene. They just become the next targets. But Suho doesn't care. He's ready to accept the condition. Ishikawa, watching, is not pleased. But Suho tells himself, pride doesn't matter. He just has to endure until they leave. Licking shoes is nothing, just a little longer. Only 9 seconds left on the mission timer. Suho wonders, will the mission auto-complete once time runs out? If it does, and he gets that amazing power, then he could show all of them who the real king is. The thought of it fuels him to keep going. But then, Yoshikawa intervenes. He jumps in trying to fight. This is a disaster for Suho. His whole plan is ruined. He shouts at Yoshikawa. Asking what he's doing, Yoshikawa says he doesn't know. He just saw Suho like that, and his body moved on its own. The timer continues ticking down. Suho doesn't want Yoshikawa trying to act cool. Now he's a noob. He's ruining everything. In the elbows, Yoshikawa hard. Yoshikawa's health bar hits 0. Now only 1 second remains on the timer, and the mission fails. Suho is furious. He blames Yoshikawa for ruining it with his reckless heroism. Then Kojima kicks Suho again. Apologizing mockingly, he says he just couldn't resist. Suho's health is nearly gone. Maybe it's because he didn't play along like a proper fighting gamer. He feels sorry for Yoshikawa, and even mutters an apology. His dream feels like it's slipping away. He just wants to close his eyes. His weakness is obvious, but then he notices something. He himself is shining. He doesn't know what it means. But Kojima isn't done yet. He moves in for another hit. This time Suho dodges, then he counters with a crouching heavy punch. Kojima reels in pain. He got hit in a very unfortunate spot. The rest of the gang charges at Suho, but now he's back in the zone. He's doing combos again. Backdash. Guard. Perfect counter, and then a new notification appears. Mission updated. Defeat the hoodlums. Now he has to defeat 7 of them. They're all high level, but they're inside a classroom stage. If Suho uses the door correctly, he can funnel them in one at a time. That way, levels won't matter. His game sense he provokes them, calling them idiots and daring them to come at him. As they rush in, Suho takes them down one by one. Now his fighting game pride gets to shine. One after another he beats them. And now only Endo remains. Endo is shocked. He can't believe what happened to all his men. Now it's a boss fight. Suho braces himself. Endo is furious, asking Suho if he has a death wish. It's terrifying. One punch from Endo causes massive damage, but Suho manages to block it. Even someone that's scary, he can still block. That gives him a fighting chance. Kicks Endo in the face with a heavy strike, dealing major damage. Suho feels it. He can win no matter who the opponent is. In fighting games, he's a king. The others watch stunned. Endo, who always acted untouchable, now looks desperate. Suho feels alive. People are finally looking at him. Even the girls are watching. Though some in the class complain that they should just fight outside. Suho believes he might be looking too cool right now. But then Endo blocks one of his punches and lands a huge one in return. It's a level 10 punch, deadly for someone like Suho, who's just level 2 still. Suho executes a forward input combo and counters in the end, and he wins. Endo's health bar hits 0. Everyone is in shock then. Mission cleared. Suho's level skyrockets from 2 to 5. He even surpasses Yoshikawa. Lightning bullet unlocked. He looks at his hands, and they're glowing with electric energy. Feels amazing. Yoshikawa wakes up and stunned to see Endo on the ground. Suho hugs him laughing, saying that he actually did it. He completed the mission. Yoshikawa is still confused. But Suho keeps repeating that this is insane. Everyone's staring at them, but Suho doesn't care. He's overjoyed. Later some girls come up and ask if he's okay. Suho is surprised no one's ever cared enough to ask that before. One girl tells him Yoshikawa already went to the infirmary. Suho can't believe it, a girl actually spoke to him. Of course, everyone's acting differently now after what they witnessed. And now that he has lightning bullet, he just needs the right opportunity to try it out. He doesn't want to use it carelessly. He wonders if he should tell Yoshikawa about all this. After all, he did cause him trouble. But now that he thinks about it, the entire thing is unbelievable. All he did was play a fighting game. Battle Arena reality mode. What even is the goal of this game? What's the meaning behind all this? A notification pops up, tutorial complete. Even more surprising, reality mode, storyline, will now begin. User ID Heya. Goal complete missions, and grow stronger. Be ready when the time comes. Good luck. The messages confuse Suho. What does when the time comes even mean? A real boss fight maybe just then. Yoshikawa returns. Soho grabs him saying there's something he has to show him. They head to the school rooftop. People nearby comment that those two really seem close. They were hugging just a minute ago on the rooftop. Soho turns to Yoshikawa and says he might have transcended humanity. Yoshikawa blinks. He's not sure why he was dragged all the way up here. Suho says he's already set up the target. Seeing is believing, he adds, asking Yoshikawa to step back. Suho puts in joystick-style inputs, and a glowing ball of energy appears in his hand. Lightning bullet, he fires it from a higher rooftop. A mysterious guy watches. He sighs and mutters. Why are these guys making a ruckus? But then he notices the lightning bullet. Even though the lightning bullet appears for a moment, it quickly fizzles out. The target in front of Suho doesn't even flinch. Yoshikawa watches in confusion, wondering what Suho is doing, while Suho questions if he input the wrong command. He tries again. No matter how many times he shouts lightning bullet in his mind, nothing happens. A weird voice line plays automatically just like in the game, but no actual attack is triggered. Yoshikawa gives him a nervous look, and apologetically that he'll hang out with him next time, and maybe suggest he visit the infirmary. Suho is stunned and tries to explain that wasn't what he meant, but the attack not activating makes him look like a complete buffoon. Just then, a voice from above greets him casually. Suho wonders who it is and whether the guy saw everything. Embarrassment washes over him. The guy jumps down, puts his hand up in greeting, and mentions that he was just doing the lightning bullet move from Battle Arena, something every fan of the game tries at least once. Since they both play Battle Arena, the guy expresses interest in becoming friends, and introduces himself as Tsuchiya. Suho doesn't recall anyone by that name in the second year, but more importantly, when he checks the guy's level marker, it just shows question marks. Tsuchiya explains that he recently returned from abroad, having studied overseas due to his father's job. That's why Suho doesn't recognize him. Tsuchiya invites Suho to come along to the local arcade if he's free. At the arcade, Tsuchiya loses repeatedly to Suho, who keeps winning round after round. He expresses disbelief that they just met, and are already gaming together. Like old friends, Soho asks if Tsuchiya truly loves Battle Arena, and admits it's been a long time since he faced someone offline. He normally plays online from home. Again, a system notification reminds him that he's still in reality mode, so other modes are locked. Despite that, Soho keeps wondering why the lightning bullet didn't work earlier. He questions if he had really unlocked it or just imagined it, but the fact that he used Rise, other moves, and defeated Endo and the others, makes him feel certain it wasn't an illusion. Tsuchiya can't believe how strong Suho is, and says he just can't win against him. He excuses himself to use the bathroom, and says that when he returns, they'll continue playing. Suho is surprised that someone would still want to continue, after losing that many times, but Sachi explains that facing a strong opponent makes him want to keep fighting. It's what makes fighting games fun. Suho, who initially found Tsuchiya a bit scary, now decides he'll teach him his secret combo later. He feels there's no way a real fighting game fan could be a bad person. Then a new side mission unlocks for Suho. Defeat the delinquents, and gain experience points. Suho doesn't see any delinquents around, until two show up right behind him. They tell him they lost their wallets, and ask if Suho can lend them some money. It's obviously extortion. Suho checks their names and levels. Kamura level 13 and Sato, level 12. They're even stronger than Endo. He thinks to himself, how he finally made a friend in Tsuchiya. And now fate throws this at him. He considers just quietly giving in, but then reminds himself that if he does that, he'll revert to the person he was yesterday. He tells himself that reality mode isn't a delusion. He's no longer a weak NPC. He stands up, the delinquents, pretend to be scared, but then quickly get serious and demand he stop joking and pay up. Before anything else happens, they hear a sound and without hesitation run off. A notification appears, mission cancelled. Enemy escaped. Suho is confused, wondering why they fled just then. A guy who looks like a store clerk arrives behind him. Tsuchiya returns and says he's hungry, then asks if Suho wants to grab something to eat. Suho agrees, and Tsuchiya mentions that he'll also call an acquaintance to join them. Suho assumes the delinquents fled because they saw the clerk, or maybe they were scared of his aura. Either way, he's content with the outcome. They head to Burger King. The women there greet Tsuchiya warmly and comment that it's been a while. They ask who the skinny guy with him is. Tsuchiya explains that Suho is his fighting game master. One of the girls teases him, saying that he must be an otaku. They all seem surprised that a guy like Tsuchiya has a friend like Suho. To Suho, these girls feel like they're from another world. He has no idea what to say when he thinks about Haragi and then Ayumu. It brings back some awkward memories. Still a bit traumatic for him. One of the girls notices Suho has been quiet and comments that he has a cute face. She even grabs his hand and admits that she doesn't dislike him. She says otaku, like him, are her type. Suho is completely taken aback. Someone just said they like him. Tsuchiya joins in the conversation, but the girl clarifies that because he's friends with Tsuchiya, they naturally like him too. Suho feels like a complete idiot for judging these people. By appearances, these girls are actually really nice. They notice his face is turning beet red. Tsuchiya chuckles and tells Suho to eat up. It's his treat, today's coaching fee for Battle Arena. Suho nods excitedly and starts eating. Just yesterday, he couldn't even imagine a moment like this. Now he can't stop the tears welling up. The others ask if something's wrong. Suho simply replies that the hamburger is so delicious, it bringing him to tears. He silently thanks the gods that he plays fighting games. Meanwhile, elsewhere, a group of delinquents from Noj Industrial High School No. 2 are having a meeting. They talk about how they'll take down Tsuchiya for good this time. Back at the restaurant, Suho says goodbye, as everyone bids him farewell. Tsuchiya tells him that he'll be at the arcade tomorrow too, and plans to keep practicing the combo Suho taught him. When one of the girls asks Tsuchiya what he'll do now, he answers that he's gonna go do something fun. As he walks away, several delinquents begin following him. Suho on his way home miles. It's been a long time since he had a friend, other than Yoshikawa, at Hinetsuka High. He decides to keep visiting the arcade. Maybe tomorrow he'll invite Yoshikawa too. Suddenly Yoshikawa calls. He asks if Suho's head is okay. Suho is confused and asks what he means. He also mentions there's someone he wants Yoshikawa to meet, but Yoshikawa urgently tells him to just listen. He warns that a dangerous guy is coming back to Hinetsuka. Since Suho transferred only last year, he probably hasn't heard of him. Yoshikawa explains that in last year's fight with Noji Industrial High, this guy knocked out 10 delinquents all by himself. He didn't stop beating them until they were begging for their lives, and ended up in the hospital. Suho is stunned and says that sounds like an exaggeration, but Yoshikawa insists that it's true. He calls the guy a fight maniac. Everyone was relieved when he went abroad to study, but no one expected him to return this soon. Then Yoshikawa says the guy's name Tsuchiya. At that moment we see Tsuchiya, ruthlessly beating down the delinquents who came after him. They beg for mercy, but he keeps going. The girls who were with him earlier are watching and enjoying the spectacle. They cheer him on, saying they want to see more. Tsuchiya smiling oblivious. Yoshikawa warns Suho that if Tsuchiya targets him, he'll be completely finished. He pleads with him never to get involved with someone like that. But then a main mission notification appears for Suho. Main mission: defeat Sashia. Rewards: experience points, all special moves unlocked. New area unlocked. Suho stares at it in disbelief. He asks himself what the hell is going on. Then the screen updates Hinatsuka High Sachia level 75. Defeating him won't be easy. Then we see Tsuchiya meeting up with Endo. He notices how Tsuchiya is back to his old ways, picking a fight right after returning. The girls explain that the other guys were the ones who started it, so Tsuchiya isn't in the wrong. But rather than focus on that, Tsuchiya asks what happened to their faces, and wants to know who roughed them up. Back with Suho, Yoshikawa tells him that Endo has likely tattled to Tsuchiya already. and he might come to school for revenge. Suho will have to be very careful. Suho still can't believe someone like Tsuchiya would be dangerous enough to seek payback. For Endo, if Yoshikawa's story is true, he might have to face Tsuchiya, but for now he's just relieved. It's not certain yet. Then he receives a message from Tsuchiya, who tells him that someone got to Endo and his group, and says he'll meet Suho at school. He also asks Suho to make sure he's there now. Suho can't back out of this. The next day at school, Suho sneaks around, checking if there's any ambush waiting for him. He tells himself there's no reason to sneak. After all, he and Tsuchiya have fought battles together. He still hopes to talk things through. Suddenly, a hand lands on his shoulder. It's Tsuchiya. He says he stayed up all night, practicing combos in battle arena, and now he's sleep-deprived drive. For now he isn't acting any differently, which reassures Suho he hopes everything will be fine. Suho brings up the message from yesterday, but Tsuchiya brushes it off and says they should focus on the present. Behind him, Endo and the others are watching, for now. Tsuchiya simply asks Suho to come with him outside to the schoolyard. Suho tells him, and that he's not into fighting, but Tsuchiya says he's misunderstood. This isn't about avenging Endo. He says he likes fighting strong opponents, and he wants to know how Suho, someone who looks so weak, managed to defeat all of them. That's why he wants to fight. Suho can't believe what a battle maniac Tsuchiya is. He still can't read Tsuchiya's level, but he can feel the danger. Tsuchiya starts the fight. Suho calms himself and focuses on watching Tsuchiya's moves. Tries to guard, but even while guarding, the damage is massive. He doesn't understand why his HP is dropping so fast. The attacks keep coming, and no matter how hard he tries to block, his HP continues to plummet. Tsuchiya admits that Suho has some insane defense, but Suho realizes that he can't just keep guarding. If he doesn't counterattack, he'll be defeated. He tries dodging and launches a heavy kick, but Tsuchiya dodges it even with perfect timing. His attacks aren't landing. It's like fighting a max difficulty CPU. Tsuchiya now understands why Endo and the others were defeated, but he's clearly enjoying the battle. Suho notices that Tsuchiya is targeting the recovery frames. After his heavy kicks, Chiya is overwhelmingly strong. But now is not the time to lose hope. If only Suho could use his special move. If he keeps his distance, maybe he can do it. With the punch incoming and the combo already in motion, Suho decides to go for it. It's all or nothing. He uses lightning bullet. This time Tsuchiya looks shocked. The others watching are stunned as well. But once again, as expected, nothing happens. Ochiya punches him hard. The punch is too strong. Suho's consciousness fades. His health bar empties, and he collapses. He lost. Everything goes dark. He wonders if this is what it's like to be Code. His high school life went off track somewhere. But why did it come to this? Then a notification appears. Continue. You have 5 credits remaining. He hadn't expected this, but it makes sense. It's a game after all. In reality mode. This was bound to happen. It's scary, but he selects yes. With a flash of light he regains consciousness. Tsuchiya remarks that Suho is finally awake, and asks him to stay. But Suho, finding himself in this situation again, wonders if he should have chosen no instead. Then Tsuchiya gestures for him to look behind. Endo and the others are bowing and apologizing. They want Suho to forgive them. Suho is stunned, Chiya explains, that since Suho is clearly stronger, it's only natural for them to bow from now on. He wants everyone to get along. Then he asks Suho why he tried using lightning bolt. He thought Suho was attempting a feint, and admits he accidentally hit him a bit too hard. Tsuchiya tells the others to listen to Suho from now on. Suho is deeply confused. It seems his life was just spared by Tsuchiya. The entire class is in shock over the events. They whisper about how Suho and Tsuchiya fought, and how Endo and his crew bowed down. Rumors spread that Suho might be more dangerous than they thought. Now everyone is cautious around him. Trying not to offend, Yoshikawa confronts Suho, asking what he was thinking. Even though Suho ignored his warning, he somehow made it. Suho tries to defend Tsuchiya, saying he isn't that bad, but Yoshikawa insists that Suho doesn't understand him at all. He describes Tsuchiya as someone who treats people like toys, someone dangerous to be around. Kojima arrives with a message. Tsuchiya is going to the arcade after school and wants Suho to come. They say their piece and leave. Soho invites Yoshikawa, but he declines, reminding Soho of the 3rd rule of the Weakling Alliance. Stay away from danger, he urges Soho not to forget it. Later at the arcade, Soho and Tsuchiya are playing together. Soho notices that Tsuchiya's movements have improved, and Tsuchiya credits it all to him. As long as they're playing, things are peaceful. This is the kind of high school life Suho always dreamed of. The mission screen is still visible, but Suho ignores it after their fight. He doesn't feel like he could ever defeat Tsuchiya. His level remains a mystery. Tsuchiya then asks if Suho wants to go eat something, and Suho agrees. He remembers Yoshikawa's warning, but he wonders if they're truly friends. What could go wrong suddenly? Another side mission pops up. Defeat the delinquents. Reward EXP. Suho wonders if it's the same group from before. This time there are 10 of them. Tsuchiya notices Suho's sudden change in expression and asks, "What's wrong?" But Suho says it's nothing. Out of nowhere, a delinquent with a bat appears and swings. Suho warns Tsuchiya, just in time. Tsuchiya dodges, and even Suho gets startled as the bat flies past him. The delinquent claims he's here to avenge what happened in middle school, when Tsuchiya beat them up badly. The ones Suho fought yesterday are also present. Tsuchiya doesn't remember them, he says. He can't be expected to remember every piece of trash on the road. They confront Suho next, but he claims he's no one. Sechiya steps in and declares Suho is his buddy and stronger than any of them. Suho checks the enemy levels. One of them, Waida, is level 18. The others say they'll handle Suho. The battle begins. Tsuchiya holds his own easily, and even thanks them for the warm-up. Suho starts with guarding, but wonders why. Life's been nothing but fights since reality mode started. Then he remembers his mission. Complete quests grow stronger, so he'll be ready when the time comes. With that resolve, he starts executing combos and defeats several of the delinquents. They talk among themselves, realizing they shouldn't underestimate someone close to Tsuchiya. Even Tsuchiya remarks that Suho is on fire. Suho thinks to himself that there's no choice now but to fight. With all his might, Tsuchiya ends the battle disappointed. It was too easy, Suho. So exhausted, is relieved to have survived. A notification appears, side mission cleared. Suho's level increases from 5 to 7. It seems that Tsuchiya's assists were counted towards Suho's XP gain. Then a new notification says all opponent levels will now be displayed. Suho finally sees Tsuchiya's level 75. He can't believe it. It must be a bug. But then Tsuchiya tells Suho to hold on a second and takes out the bat, saying that these guys never learn, and they need to finish them off. With a heavy swing of the bat on his hand, Tsuchiya then hands it to Suwa. Suwa is shocked by the display of such brutality. Suzuya expects Suwa to do the same, saying it feels good to clean up trash. But beating up a defeated opponent, Suwa just can't bring himself to do that. He doesn't appreciate how casually Suzuya talks about breaking others. When Suwa doesn't move, Suzuya starts getting impatient and asks what's wrong, saying he wants it done quickly. This isn't the high school life Suho wanted. Not like this. He finally says he can't do it and apologizes, adding that he just remembered he has some work to do and needs to leave. Suzuya responds that there's no need to worry since they're friends. There's still time, but Suwa recalls Yoshikawa's warning. Getting involved with this guy is definitely going to lead to trouble. Suzuya is seriously dangerous. Suwa has to get away. He starts running, but he can't help wondering, why is this happening meanwhile? Suzuya suddenly notices a pain in his stomach. He sees a bruise and tries to remember when it happened. Then it hits him. It was during the fight when Suho used the lightning bullet technique. He can't believe Suho actually did that. Now he's starting to wonder, was that real or just an illusion? Suho, on the other hand, is worried he doesn't understand why the system keeps insisting that he fight Tsuchiya. There's no way he can win, not when Tsuchiya is at level 75, and Suho has only just leveled up a little. Beating someone like that feels impossible, but then a thought strikes him. He opens up his move list. The last time he leveled up, he remembers seeing something. Lightning Bullet had gone from level 1 to level 2. That must mean that special moves in reality mode have levels too. Maybe the reason his moves aren't working is because they're just not strong enough yet to test it. He stacks a few books on a table and tries using Lightning Bullet again. First, nothing happens, just like before, but when he gets closer, within just a few centimeters, something shifts. The books fly off the table. So the Lightning Bullet is coming out. It's been working all along, just with extremely short range, only about 5 centimeters. This is a major discovery. It means Lightning Bullet isn't just a glitch or a delusion. Just as he's absorbing this, his sister barges in, asking him why. He's shouting like a grade schooler while playing games, who says he was just training a bit. She grabs him by the collar and says, a weakling like him shouldn't bother with training. But then she pauses, suspicious. Maybe he's gotten interested in a girl. Whatever the case, she tells him to clean up and go to bed. It's annoying, but Suho starts thinking, with its current range, Lightning Bullet is no different from a normal punch. He wonders if its range or power will increase if the skill levels up further. So far, he's been gaining experience from mission fights. He hasn't picked fights himself, because he hates fighting. That's why he's been avoiding most of them. Suddenly a call comes in from an unknown number. He answers, wondering who it could be. A voice says his name. It's Haragi. She says she got his number from the manager, and asks if he'd be free to meet right now. Suho starts blushing and agrees immediately. They decide to meet at the station. She also tells him to wear something comfortable at the station. Soho starts overthinking, is his outfit okay? Is this really happening? He turns off the reality mode display. He feels like keeping it on would let him see too much, like accidentally peeking into Hiragi's secrets. Then Hiragi arrives and greets him. She says she's sorry but there's somewhere she wants to take him. It's a little embarrassing. She says Suho follows her, nervously wondering what kind of place it could be. But the direction they're headed. It's definitely the hotel district. He starts panicking. Is this really happening? Isn't she dating someone just as he's drowning in confusion? She stops in front of a building. He looks up. It's Hiragi Martial Arts Gym. She explains that her dad runs the place, and thought Suho might be interested in training. They don't allow fighting, but he can work out as much as he wants. She goes to change while Suho waits. He sees a ring and a hanging sandbag. He tries throwing a punch, but hurts his knuckles. He's clearly inexperienced. Hiragi returns now in her training outfit, and Suho's jaw almost drops. Her ABS are defined. She's incredible. When he asks if she practices martial arts, she chuckles and says she's basically the real-life version of Li Long. They begin training. Suho's reality mode activates a training mode. It's just like a combo practice session in Battle Arena. Hiragi wraps his wrists and gives him simple gloves. He imagines his game controller and starts hitting the sandbag again. This time his punch lands with real force. Even surprising Hiragi, she praises him, saying he has genuine talent. Suho grins and says he's just mimicking Rise moves, and he notices his experience bar rising. Excited, he starts punching and kicking the bag more, watching his XP climb. By the time he's done, he's leveled up from level 7 to 15. Lightning Bullet has leveled up from level 2 to level 6. He finally collapses from exhaustion. Hiragi hands him a bottle of water, hers, and he thanks her. A notification pops up. Recovery item acquired. Hiragi Wakana's water. He finds the name strange but says nothing. He then mentions her boyfriend, Ayumu, and says she should say hi to him for him. Hiragi looks confused. Boyfriend? She asks. Ayumu's my twin brother. Suho is stunned. He had completely misunderstood. Last time she was up all night gaming with her brother. Not a boyfriend. He's so embarrassed he can barely respond. Hiragi invites him to join them next time they game together. She says Ayumu also trains at the gym, so they could all train together. Suho feels like his heart is going to burst. He's so happy. He runs out of the gym but collapses a little later, out of breath. His health bar is nearly empty. Then he remembers the recovery item. He drinks Hiragi Wakana's water, and his health bar fills rapidly. Amazed by its effect, he decides to save the rest for later. Then he tests his level 6 lightning bullet on a tree. It does serious damage. The power has gone up significantly. The range is still short, but it might just be enough to hurt Tsuchiya. He starts second-guessing again. He knows he shouldn't get involved, but the main mission still says, defeat Tsuchiya. He hopes Tsuchiya doesn't want to fight again. He decides to avoid him at school. But then, as if summoned, Tsuchiya walks up to him and says he's been waiting. He seems unusually eager to talk and asks Suwa to come with him. Suwa hesitates, unsure of what this is about, but Tsuchiya insists it's fine and urges him to follow. Tsuchiya leads Suwa to meet with the entire group. He announces that Nog Industrial picked a fight with them again. When he asks what's going on, Endo pretends not to know anything. Tsuchiya tells him to quit the act, explaining that Nog Industrial is getting bolder because they think Endo's group has become weak. They didn't maintain their strength, so now their enemies no longer see them as a threat. Frustrated, Tsuchiya suddenly lashes out. He punches Endo right in front of Suwa, yelling that he can't stand liars and slackers. The atmosphere turns tense. Suwa is shocked. He never imagined Tsuchiya would beat up someone. From their own school, he realizes that if he ever makes Tsuchiya angry, even as a friend, he might be next. Endo begs for forgiveness, but Tsuchiya doesn't stop. He keeps hitting him, determined to make Endo pay for what he sees as betrayal. Watching all this, Suwa grows more and more uncomfortable. He doesn't say anything, but he doesn't like what he's seeing. Just as Tsuchiya is about to deliver another punch, Suwa suddenly steps forward and blocks it. Both Endo and Tsuchiya are stunned that Suwa intervened. That even Suwa himself isn't sure why he did it. He just knows this has gone too far, and now he's stuck in a very tough situation. Even though Suwa manages to block, he still gets hurt. Tsuchiya is just that powerful. But for a moment, even Tsuchiya seems surprised. Something about Suwa feels different. His stance, his balance. He's clearly improved from yesterday. He's stronger. Impressed, Tsuchiya says Suwa should take over training Endo and the others. And Suwa was once a victim himself, and has now grown stronger. He seems like the perfect candidate. But Suwa doesn't like the idea. It's not what he wanted still. He finds himself in a tight spot. Refusing could anger Tsuchiya, and he might end up punished like Endo. Tsuchiya asks what's wrong, joking that Suwa must have picked up a part-time job, but he quickly notes that Suwa shouldn't be busy, so he should have time for this. Just then, a teacher arrives. Tsuchiya quickly tells the teacher they're just fooling around. The teacher, visibly nervous, says it's fine. Swan notices how intimidated the teacher is. The teacher also notes that Sua seems to be fitting in with the group, but from his expression, Sua senses concern, like he's watching something dangerous unfold. Tsuchiya places a hand on Sua's shoulder and asks if he's really going to forgive Endo and the others. If he is, then he must be a kind guy. Then, without missing a beat, he suggests they skip class. Sua declines, explaining he's had bad grades lately and needs to attend class. He asks for some space. Tsuchiya says he understands and urges him not to be late. Sua is surprised at how reasonable he's being, but as he turns to leave, Tsuchiya mentions the arcade after school. That surprises Sua, who thought he made himself clear. When Tsuchiya repeats the invitation more seriously, Sua feels pressured to accept. He agrees, even though he's nervous. Around them, rumors begin to swirl. Students talk about how Sua and Tsuchiya defeated dozens, from Nog Industrial, and how Endo got beaten up. They're calling Sua and Tsuchiya the most fearsome duo in Hinetsuka. Yoshikawa scolded Sua, blaming him for ignoring all the warnings. Sua accuses Yoshikawa of being too harsh, but Yoshikawa insists. Sua is now being seen as just as dangerous as Tsuchiya. Yoshikawa tries to get him to understand that Tsuchiya isn't like other delinquents. He's on a whole different level. Sua already knows. Tsuchiya is level 75. Sua admits he regrets getting involved and wishes he had listened. Yoshikawa asks if he can decline the arcade invitation, but Sua says he can't. Yoshikawa mutters that he never imagined Sua's love for fighting games would come back to haunt him. Sua, reflecting, thinks about how Yoshikawa is still the same, worried about him even now. Sua says this is the days when it was just the two of them. Yoshikawa finds this sentiment awkward, but Sua says he means it. Those were good times. Sua says he got caught up in everything, and doesn't want it to happen again. He reminds Yoshikawa of the weak character alliance rule. Don't help each other. He thanks him for listening, and says he'll handle things himself. When Yoshikawa asks where he's going, Sua replies that he needs a moment alone. Later on the rooftop, the group gathers. Yoshikawa approaches Tsuchiya, introduces himself, and asks if he can release Sua. Tsuchiya is confused, asking what Yoshikawa means by that. Yoshikawa laughs nervously, saying Sua isn't strong and can't keep up with someone like him. Chiya realizes Yoshikawa is Sua's friend, and comments that Sua has good people around him. Yoshikawa insists it's not like that, then gets serious again. Meanwhile, in the bathroom, Sua reflects on how far he's come. Just days ago he was hiding in a stall. Feeling worthless now, everything's changed. He thinks about how silly it used to feel shouting moves like Thunderbolt in the game. But this isn't a game, there's no reset. Someone knocks and tells him to hurry up. When he steps out, he hears a commotion. Everyone's heading to the roof. Sua follows and sees a crowd. Uchiha greets him warmly and points to a scene unfolding. Yoshikawa is fighting someone. Sua is stunned. He tries to intervene, but Uchiha tells him not to. He explains that Yoshikawa is fighting for him. Yoshikawa clearly isn't a fighter and struggles. Kojima urges him to just give up, warning that things could get worse. But Yoshikawa bites Kojima and keeps fighting. Kojima gets angry and punches again. Sua rushes forward, asking what's going on. Tsuchiya explains that Yoshikawa asked him to release Sua, so he told Yoshikawa that if he could defeat one of them, be considerate. Tsuchiya finds Yoshikawa's efforts amusing, and remarks that Sua must be annoyed, having such a weak friend. Yoshikawa agrees, and declares the alliance is over. Sua isn't weak anymore. Sua is confused. Yoshikawa apologizes, saying he wanted to help, but couldn't do anything. Then as Sua watches, Tsuchiya kicks Yoshikawa, and says, "That's enough." He turns to Sua, and suggests they head to the arcade. But Sua, now furious, calls Tsuchiya a jerk, and tells him to wait. He says, if this is the weak character uprising battle, then it's not over. He puts on gloves. A notification appears showing increased attack and defense. Sua declares himself the representative of the weak. He says he's going to defeat Sachiya and complete the main mission, earn experience points, unlock all special moves, and open a new area. Yoshikawa tells him to stop calling it foolish. But Sua adds a new rule to their alliance. Even if they usually avoid danger and don't interfere, when the alliance is in crisis, they must stand up, he says. Their alliance continues, turning to Tsuchiya. He tells him to get ready. He's taking this seriously. Tsuchiya finds it interesting. He suspects Sua is hiding something, but he says he hopes Sua won't disappoint him. It's round 2. Sua, now level 15, faces off against Tsuchiya. Level 75, the fight begins. Sua notices that Tsuchi's level is 75. Seeing it again, he realizes the massive gap between them, but he remains determined to avenge Yoshikawa. Two girls approach Yoshikawa, asking if he's okay or wants to visit the nurse's office. Sua feels a pang of jealousy, and wonders why they're suddenly showing up now. Suddenly, Yoshikawa yells out Sua's name. warning him that Tsuchiya is about to punch. Suwa already knows and manages to block it. But even then his health still drops. He recalls that everyone has unique rhythms and movement habits. From yesterday's battle and the Nog industrial fight, he had studied such a style, reading his moves like a fighting game. Despite the overwhelming level difference, Suwa knows he can bridge that gap with pure game sense. That's how he manages to land a kick to Tsuchiya's face, shocking the crowd. But the impact barely makes a dent in Tsuchiya's health bar. Still Suwa pushes forward. When he gets punched again, he retaliates with a 5-hit combo. But Tsuchiya scoffs, asking if that's really Suwa's best. The damage is negligible, likely due to the massive level gap. Suho realizes he needs to land a raging shot, but for that he needs to be within 5 centimeters. After 2 left jabs, Tsuchiya typically follows with a right straight. If Suwa can duck that, he'll have a 20-frame window to strike the raging shot activate. It's within 16 frames he executes the input perfectly, dodging the punch and releasing a lightning bullet to Tsuchiya's stomach. The onlookers gasp as Tsuchiya's body lifts off the ground. Even Tsuchiya appears confused, unsure of what just happened. As his health bar begins to drop, he admits that the attack actually hurt, and asks Suwa if he's using some kind of weapon. Suwa reflects that, even though the move was executed perfectly, it still barely did any damage. But he pulls up his shirt, revealing the bruise left from blocking Tsuchiya's earlier blows. This confirms to Tsuchiya that the previous bruise he noticed had come from Suwa's lightning bullet. Tsuchiya grins, saying that Suwa was hiding a trump card all along, and now he's even more excited. Suwa, however, begins to panic even when blocking. He's losing health. He tries using lightning bullet again, but Tsuchiya dodges it. He tries a second time. Another miss. Suwa realizes that his opponent has caught onto his strategy, and landing a clean hit will now be extremely difficult. Satya, impressed, says he understands now. Suwa isn't just fooling around, but if that's all Suwa has, he decides to get serious. Suddenly, Tsuchiya's aura flares up. Suwa tries to defend, but Tsuchiya grabs him, slams him into the fence and follows up with a swift attack. Suwa is helpless in battle arena. There are no air guards, and he's feeling the consequences now. His attacks aren't connecting at all, while every single one of such as hits shaves off a huge chunk of health. Suwa laments how unfair this all feels. This is what a level 75 at full power looks like, he thinks, as he collapses. Kyosuchi remarks that it was fun, and declares that he'll keep Suwa around from now on, but notes that Suwa can't hear him since he's already unconscious. The crowd wonders if it's all over. The outcome, after all, was expected. Yoshikawa looks worried, but Suwa isn't ready to quit. He refuses to accept defeat. Round 3. He has 3 continues left, and he's going to make them count. Tsuchiya is impressed by Suwa's resolve, and continues pounding him with punches. Suwa gets co-ed again. He uses another continue KO, and again KO, even with just 1 credit left. Suwa keeps going, asking if that's all Tsuchiya's got. Tsuchiya growls that Suwa's attacks aren't even landing, and warns him not to provoke him. Even blocking doesn't help. Tsuchiya's punches are simply too powerful. Suwa tells himself that if he keeps going, maybe Tsuchiya will slip up. But the opposite happens. Tsuchiya just grows stronger. Now Suwa has only 1 credit left. He knows it's hopeless. He apologizes to Yoshikawa, admitting that he's reached his limit. Unlike a game, this hurts. It's exhausting, but at least they showed some pride as underdogs. Hopefully that's enough. He declines the final, continue. He's done his best. Indo steps forward, telling Tsuchiya that this has gone too far. But Tsuchiya responds by elbowing him without hesitation. Yoshikawa also pleads with him to stop and apologizes, saying it was all his fault. But no matter how many times Yoshikawa says sorry, Tsuchiya doesn't stop. He lifts his fist to strike again, until a voice interrupts. Not yet. Yoshikawa. Suwa rises. He has used his final credit. The others wonder if he has a plan. He doesn't, but what got him to rank God wasn't talent. It was perseverance. He never gave up, no matter how often he lost. If he gives up now, he would disgrace the name Master Rai. So even with no chance of winning, he stands, he resists. A new notification appears. Secret mission, completed by using all his continues. He earns a massive XP bonus, and levels up from 15 to 16. Tsuchiya decides to end it, but just as he moves to strike, Suwa dodges. His speed has increased dramatically. Tsuchiya thinks he must be imagining things. But no, it's real. Suwa begins glowing, and unleashes a hyper 5-hit punch combo. The audience is stunned. This time the damage is noticeable. Even Tsuchiya is shocked. Another notification pops up. Hyper gauge unlocked and activated in battle arena. This gauge fills during fights, and when used temporarily, grants massive speed and power. Suwa can now fight on equal footing. The gauge doesn't last long, but in a fighting game, a short burst is all you need. Their punches clash, causing a massive surge of energy. Suwa knows that if he's going to win, it has to be now. He uses strong punch uppercut, but just as the gauge depletes, he takes a risk. Tsuchiya's guard recovery. 20 frames raging shot startup. 16 frames, he charges and releases the shot. Tsuchiya sees the power approaching. For a second he's excited. Then the blow connects, the expression on his face shows it. This time he felt it. It was a direct hit, and Tsuchiya couldn't believe it was even possible. He was blown into the air and slammed into the fence. Stunned, he said nothing. The others watching began to question what they had just witnessed. Did Suwa really just defeat Tsuchiya? Even Suwa was confused. He wondered if he had actually won. But then, he noticed that Tsuchiya's health bar still had a tiny sliver left. The fight wasn't over yet. Just then, Tsuchiya began to get back up. The fence he was stuck on suddenly broke, due to his sudden movement, and he fell, resulting in a ring out. A notification popped up declaring Suwa the winner. This surprised Suwa more than anyone. I had expected the fight to continue. But in a fighting game this kind of rule definitely applied. The crowd erupted in disbelief. Even Tsuchiya admitted his body wouldn't move anymore. But before he could fall further, Suwa caught him. Tsuchiya expressed concern that Suwa wouldn't be able to hold him. But Suwa reassured him. Apparently, every time he landed a lightning bullet, his hypergauge refilled, even if only briefly. He figured that even a second of hypergauge would be enough to win. He pushed Tsuchiya back onto the roof. Tsuchiya was in disbelief as his friends rushed to check on him. Meanwhile, Suwa's strength faded. With his hypergauge depleted, he began to fall, until Yoshikawa arrived and helped pull him back up. Suwa was relieved to be back on the roof. As Sachiya approached, Suwa asked if he wanted to continue, even though their duel should have ended. But Sachiya turned to Yoshikawa and said he would release Suwa, just as he had promised. With that, Suwa was finally free from Sachiya's control. Sachiya said goodbye to everyone and left. Yoshikawa remarked that in any case, Suwa was free now, but even though he had one, Suwa's health bar was completely empty. He collapsed as he lost consciousness. A notification popped up, mission complete. In the darkness, Suwa reflected on what to do next. He had used all his continues. There was no trying again, but he didn't want it all to end like this. As he began to regain consciousness, he felt warm and comfortable, as if he were in heaven. Then a girl called out to him using the name Hayat. At first, he thought it was Hiragi, but then he realized it was Lilong. Lilong explained that he was inside a world, within his own consciousness. Upon hearing this, Suwa assumed it was all a dream, and figured he must still be alive. Lilong confirmed it. This was indeed a dream, but a nice one for Suwa. She praised his performance, saying he had overcome his first challenge. She revealed that the hypergauge was now permanently unlocked, along with all special moves and a new area. She warned him that his next major fight was approaching, so he needed to prepare before she could continue. Suwa interrupted her. He asked why he had to fight in real life, and demanded an explanation for this so-called reality mode. Lilong said he had to figure it out himself. She told him it was his inherited duty, as a fate shifter with the god rank. It was the responsibility of the chosen one. To Suwa, this all sounded like in-game dialogue. Lilong just laughed and reassured him that he'd be fine. Then she got close, very close. She whispered that this was a special bonus. Inching even closer, Suwa tried to stay calm as she leaned toward him. Since it was just a dream, he figured there was no harm in enjoying it. He leaned closer as well, noting how soft everything felt. But when he woke up, he wasn't leaning toward Lilong at all. He was inches from Yoshikawa, who was staring at him and asking if he was awake. Suwa immediately recoiled, disgusted, and started spitting in shock. He demanded to know what Yoshikawa was doing, but Yoshikawa, equally disturbed, said that was his line. Suwa had been sleeping in the infirmary the whole time. Suwa asked about Tsuchiya, but Yoshikawa said he didn't know he disappeared after the fight. Suwa worried there might be trouble after the commotion, but Yoshikawa reassured him. Since Tsuchi's parents were major donors to the school, everyone had to be careful around him. That explained the teacher's behavior. Suwa realized now. He wondered what to do next. Oh right, Lilong had mentioned a big fight. But was any of that real? Certainly didn't feel like it. Then he noticed a notification about a special bonus, and what he read genuinely shocked him. He jumped out of bed. Yoshikawa asked if he was really okay to move. So suddenly Suwa told him not to worry and said goodbye. Hurrying off, Suwa now had Hiragi Wakana's water, a full recovery item, though he had already used it. He wasn't concerned, because his special bonus was Hiragi Wakana's kiss. To get it, he just had to meet her tonight. He was thrilled for once. Reality mode seemed to be going his way. He figured he could keep the fighting in the game, and avoid real-life brawls. Especially now that he had beaten Tsuchiya, surely he wouldn't get dragged into another mess. Excited about the bonus, he remembered that Hiragi had a shift at her part-time job tonight. He rushed off to meet her, but then he bumped into someone. The person scolded him, calling him a brat and telling him to watch where he was going. Suho apologized. Another guy showed up saying it wasn't the time for that. The others apologized to the newcomer, and they all left. Suwa thought the guy looked incredibly evil. He also noticed their uniforms. They were from Rokumine High School. Still, Suwa shook it off. He had other things to worry about. Like Hiragi, he figured this had nothing to do with him. Meanwhile, the delinquents from Rokuyo Mine High were talking among themselves, saying they should stop showing off to weaklings. Their real target was Tsuchiya. Their leader, Taniguchi, declared that he would be the one to defeat Tsuchiya. As Rokuyomi's top dog, he wouldn't let anyone else take that title from him. Suwa, walking nearby, overheard everything. Yoshikawa also thinks about how Suwa just left so suddenly, with that weird grin on his face. He finally lose it. Was it one too many beatings from Tsuchiya? But then suddenly, a voice calls out to Yoshikawa and asks if he knows a second year, named Tsuchiya from Hinazuka. Yoshikawa is taken aback. He recognizes the guy as someone from Rokuyuma High School. Taniguchi steps forward and asks if it's true that Sachiya returned from studying abroad. Yoshikawa nervously replies that, yes, he has, but it seems he already went home today. After hearing this, one of the other delinquents warns Yoshikawa that he better be telling the truth. But Taniguchi tells Terada to stop and says they're heading back. They already confirmed Tsuchiya's return, and that's enough for now. Yoshikawa reflects on how these guys came all the way from Rokuman. Just for that, things are likely going to get troublesome again. Just hope Suwa will be really careful. Meanwhile, we see Suwa gargling with mouthwash. He feels like everything his face. His clothes is perfect. His sister walks in and finds him doing this, which she finds disgusting. She asks if he has a date, and questions his odd behavior of smiling into the mirror. When Suwa asks how his clothes look, she teasingly asks if he actually has a girlfriend. Suwa tells her to be quiet, and says he's heading out. He mentions he might be back late, hinting at a plan to get a special bonus. His plan is to casually bump into Hiragi after her shift ends. He wants to act natural though. He's clearly overthinking everything. He's flustered, unsure of what to do next, and hoping it's okay to have expectations. But he's clearly deep in reality mode. As he walks toward his destination, he can't stop thinking about that bonus. And suddenly he hears people screaming. Curious, he listens more closely, and hears people asking why guys from Rokuman are walking around their town. The Rokuman delinquents insist they're not interested in Nog Industrial. Suwa recognizes both the Rokuman High students from earlier, and the Nog Industrial delinquents from on the previous day. He wonders if it's a turf war, but decides it's none of his business. Just as he's about to leave, some of them call out to him. There are even some girls nearby, and it looks like the situation is turning dangerous. Taniguchi politely asks the girls to step back. The girls find it sweet that he's showing concern, and they joke about switching sides. Taniguchi blushes a little, and the others tease him, asking if he's a virgin. They mention that his loss to Tsuchiya is famous, but Taniguchi doesn't seem bothered. He admits they lost, but says that's why they've been training for a rematch. The others laugh harder, mocking them by asking if they think they're samurai from another era. Taniguchi then counters by asking why they're all covered in wounds. Did they get beaten up too? He makes it clear that bullying the weak isn't his thing, which is why he doesn't want to get involved. If they're just picking on weaker kids, he seems to have a strong sense of right and wrong. But then suddenly a few of the delinquents start attacking Suwa. One of them remembers Suwa as the guy who was with Tsuchiya. Suwa tries to explain he has no intention of getting in their way, but the delinquent tells him that he's just saved them the trouble of searching for him. He commands everyone to take Suwa down, along with the Rokuman trash. A fight begins. Suwa, who only wanted to earn a special bonus, now feels like he's stuck in another unwanted mission. He doesn't want to fight, he wants to meet Hiragi, but there's no time, so for now, he focuses on dodging. Then he notices Taniguchi's level, 76. Taniguchi steps in and says, this is a fight between Rokuman and Nog, and outsiders shouldn't interfere. Suwa is stunned by his level and wonders just who this guy is. Suddenly, Taniguchi clenches his fist in anger, declaring that since the other guys started it, they'd better be prepared. He begins beating them all down. The others are shocked by his strength. Taniguchi is incredibly powerful. Taniguchi tells Suwa once again to just get out of there. Suwa is impressed these movements so fast and clean. He wonders if Taniguchi is trained in martial arts. Suwa begins thinking about what would happen if he fought Taniguchi, but reminds himself not to get distracted. He remembers the lesson from his battle with Tsuchiya, and sticks to his rule of not getting involved. Finally, Suwa arrives at his destination, hoping to meet Hiragi. He wonders if using his reality mode powers just to be with her is the right thing. Just then, Hiragi steps outside and says goodbye to the others. Inside, she sees Suwa, but then trips and nearly falls toward him. It almost seems like fate, but she catches herself in time and apologizes for rushing. Suwa is impressed by her core strength. Then she asks if he's hungry. Her manager gave her some takeout, and she offers to share it with him. Suo accepts gratefully, but then he sees a notification. Haragi-san's acquired. He doesn't understand. He didn't receive anything, or did he? Looking into the bag, he realizes it's tempura. Also known in the system as kiss tempura. Maybe the real prize was the silly detour along the way. Still, Suo feels incredibly annoyed. He expected something meaningful, but it's just food just then. Hiragi remembers Suo doesn't even have a shift today, so why is he all the way here? Suo makes an excuse about taking a walk, and Hiragi accepts it. As she leaves, Suo asks if he can come train at the gym again. It's clear he's trying to spend more time with her. Hiragi agrees and says she'll see him later. Suo thinks maybe it's okay that it ended up this way. After all, he did get to see her. Then a notification pops up, asking if he wants to take on the challenge for another special bonus. Suo laughs and wonders what kind of punchline and the system is going to throw at him. This time he presses yes. Suddenly a loud noise rings in his ears. He wonders what's going on. A challenge mode notification appears, stating the challenge has begun. He must defeat the specified opponents to clear it. A follow-up alert warns that difficulty will increase, and challenge mode cannot be paused. Yual wonders if he can stop it, but then a massive aura begins rising around him, only to stop just as suddenly. He breathes a sigh of relief. That night, a couple of men receive a mysterious video from an unknown sender. It's sent to schools across the region: Kamahama High School, Zakasawa High School, and even Rokuman High School. In the video, Tsuchiya is seen fighting Suo. Everyone watches as the full battle plays out, and how Suo actually wins. Then their phones receive one final notification. Hinazuka High School's no one is no longer Tsuchiya. It's Suwa. He ate. Suwa goes home and is welcomed by his sister. She asks what he's eating. He says he's having some tempura from someone he works part-time with. His sister asks if he got it at work, because she thought it was a date. But now it seems like it wasn't. Then she asks if she can have one too. But he takes it away from her and says no, don't touch it. This kiss is only for me and no one else. His sister is confused. She doesn't understand what's up with him, and wonders if he got rejected by a girl. Once inside, Suwa thinks about how he still feels like he has a headache. He doesn't really understand what just happened. The challenge mode has begun, and a notification tells him to defeat the specified challengers. To clear it, it looks like something has started again. Not just that temper bit, but a lot of other things as well. He also thinks that saving Tsuchiya was a bit reckless. The fact that he's here safe and sound feels like a miracle in itself. Then another notification pops up as he's eating the tempura. It says that he just used Hiragi Wakana's kiss, which gave him a lot of experience, and increased his level from 20 to 21. Now that he thinks about what she said in the dream, how he would finally be able to show the full extent of his skills, he decides he first needs to confirm the special moves he unlocked. Ray mainly uses 3 special moves: Lightning Bullet, Flying Thunder Punch, and Descending Lightning Strike. Suwa expects them to be level 1 since they just got unlocked, and it took him some time to learn Lightning Bullet after all, so he needs to be prepared to use the other techniques before another fight. First, he tries using Flying Thunder Punch. The most famous skill in Battle Arena is Lightning Bullet, Ray's signature anti-air move. He had tried using it before, and ended up getting knocked out by Kojima, but now it's unlocked so he can finally use it. He picks a branch above him as a target. In his mind, he channels his fighting character with one Flying Thunder Punch. He breaks the branch. It worked. This is definitely it, though it's more useful as a melee attack than an anti-air. After all, no one's flying in real life. It's easier to use Lightning Bullet, because it has shorter startup frames, time between inputting the command and executing the attack. You just have to get within range, and then, bam. If it hits, the opponent will be launched and open for combos. It's perfect for Suwa. The other move, Descending Lightning Strike, is a heel drop from a mid-air spin. Surprise attack that deals massive damage. It can also be used to immediately close the gap between him and an opponent. Suwa tries using it on a tree. As he performs the move, he feels amazing. He's practically Ray now. He just needs to keep practicing. Being able to use these techniques feels incredible. Maybe he can even complete the challenge mode now. But after some time, and a lot of practice, he feels exhausted. It's true, he can use the moves, but each has its limitations. Lightning Bullet's range is still short for the others. He can only use the weaker variations: light, medium, and heavy. But for now, only light. If he levels up more, he should be able to use the stronger variations. When that happens, he'll move just like Ray. In his mind, if he ever has a rematch with Tsuchiya, he'd be able to fight even better, though he doubts that will happen. Still, Suwa feels nostalgic. Slowly mastering more moves reminds him of his early days playing fighting games. He keeps laughing like a little kid just thinking about them. They really are the best for him. The next day at school, Suwa calls out to Yoshikawa and asks if he's noticed something strange. Yoshikawa agrees, It's hard to believe other students are cheering for Sua. The second year looks different from what they imagined. Yesterday's fight gave them chills. Those who missed it now feel like they've missed out. Sua can't believe a day like this has come. Unlike before, everyone is giving him passionate gazes. He realizes they might be seeing him as some kind of hero. Even the girls greet him warmly. Making him blush, he greets them back. He then asks Yoshikawa if he saw how beautifully that junior girl greeted him. It's the first time in his life a girl has done that. Yoshikawa says, maybe Sua is getting too excited, but Sua asks him to let him enjoy this moment. Then Yoshikawa overhears the girls talking about him too. They think he's cool, calm, and intelligent. Yoshikawa is thrilled, and asks Sua to call him Cool Brain Yoshikawa from now on. Sua agrees, but warns him not to get too cocky. Yoshikawa adds a new rule to their alliance. Always assume the worst. Sua wonders what's with him. Yoshikawa then explains there are 4 major powers in the Rakumen, Takachio and 2 others even when Tsuchiya was abroad. His influence kept the others in check. Now that he's lost, and to someone like Sua, it could destabilize everything. Sua is taken aback. Yoshikawa says, if the power balance collapses, the town could descend into chaos. Weaklings will be casualties. Sua thinks Yoshikawa might be exaggerating, but he also realizes the danger is real. Yoshikawa urges him to avoid standing out. That's their new survival strategy. Then the whole class looks out the window. Outside, a delinquent is calling out to Sua Hayate. Sua is surprised. The guy says he's here to challenge him to a duel. Everyone gets excited. It feels like a samurai showdown. Taniguchi, of the 6 Peaks Yoshikawa, realizes this outcome was inevitable. He had heard. Taniguchi was obsessed. With Tsuchiya now it makes sense. Sua gets nervous. He thinks Taniguchi looks dangerous. Then Endo comes to him and says it's time to go. Sua is confused. He's not picking a fight. Endo reminds him that Tsuchiya isn't here, and this guy won't be satisfied until he sees Sua. Endo promises to explain things and not let Sua get hurt. Sua trusts him. For now he starts thinking about Taniguchi, the strong guy from yesterday. This must be what the challenge mode notification was about. It all fits, but why now? Outside, Endo and the group confront Taniguchi. While Sua hangs back, Endo tells Taniguchi he's bold to come alone. Taniguchi says he's not here to argue with lackeys. He only wants to fight Sua. He asks Sua if he's really the one who beats Uchiha. Sua is nervous. He just wants to be left out of this delinquent business. Endo suddenly announces that Sua rules over Hinazuka. That's not what Sua expected. Kojima adds that Taniguchi isn't even worthy to wash Sua's feet. Sua grows more anxious. Why are they saying this? Taniguchi, now angry, feels like it was worth coming here. This is exactly what he wanted. Endo and Kojima turn to Sua and ask him to defeat this arrogant fool. They believe Sua can do it easily. This is what Sua didn't want. They plan to sell him out from the start. A notification appears. Will he accept the challenge? From challenger Taniguchi Tatsuya, even reality mode is pushing him to fight. It all feels like a joke, like they're making him into one taking. The challenge is crazy, but then he remembers his training, and his desire to fight everything is telling him to go for it. The classroom cheers. For him, everyone believes he can do it. The whole school is watching. Now, Taniguchi senses Sua's popularity and thinks this is even better than fighting. Tsuchiya Sua accepts the challenge. He pushes the yes button. Now with his level 21, Sua will face level 76 Taniguchi Tatsuya. The challenge is accepted. The fight is about to begin. As they both accept the challenge, the whole school start cheering for Sua. He can feel their stares burning into him, the pressure of their cheers weighing on his shoulders. He really feels the weight of everyone's expectations, but he still doesn't understand why this Taniguchi guy is wearing such a scary expression. Sua accepted the challenge in the heat of the moment, but backing out now would be super lame. He can't do that. Then Ando warns Taniguchi that the teachers will be arriving soon, and if they're going to fight, they'll need to change locations. Taniguchi agrees, but still wonders how such a weakling ended up on top at Hinazuka. He even considers taking over for Tsuchiya and controlling the group himself. Ando and Kojima, however, remain unfazed. They simply hope this Taniguchi guy stops underestimating Sua. Sua, on the other hand, doesn't appreciate all this talk about controlling others. These guys really are delinquents. He wishes everyone could just get along and play games instead of constantly fighting. Taniguchi tells Sua to follow him, and Sua realizes this is his chance. If it's just the two of them, he might be able to run away unnoticed. If it comes to that, but Taniguchi's level is higher than Sachiya's, so Sua has to assume the worst. There's also that new alliance rule too. Taniguchi says he doesn't sense any aura from Sua. He can't believe Tsuchiya could have lost to someone like him. He accuses Sua of cheating, which confuses Sua. He doesn't understand Why he's suddenly being accused like this, so unreasonable. Taniguchi says no one will interrupt them here, and declares that he's ready to fight. He's here to reveal Sua's true nature. If Sua is a cheater, he wants to expose him. Sua gets ready too, but the stance Sua takes catches Taniguchi off guard. He asks if Sua has any martial arts experience. Sua hesitates. If he says rice lightning flow killing technique from a fighting game, he'll just make Taniguchi angrier, so he simply says no. Taniguchi notes that Sua looks like he's used to fighting, but says it won't matter if he's bluffing. It'll be obvious soon. He moves in with a fighting stance. Sua remembers watching Taniguchi's fight. The day before his moves were straightforward punches, and he sees the same now Su guards. And even though he blocks the punch, his health bar drops. Just like with Tsuchiya, but this time it's not as much. Sua's guard is holding Sua, thinks about landing a side attack, a medium strength, kick that chips, away at Taniguchi's health. It's working, so it's good. Then he dodges another punch by ducking, and again evades a follow-up. Taniguchi's combo speed is fast, but Sua feels like he can fight him. He needs to find an opening when he sees one. He uses descending lightning strike. It hits. Sua thinks it's effective. Given its range and frame advantage, he follows it up with a flying thunder punch. Taniguchi's health drops significantly. Sua asks Taniguchi how that felt. 2 special moves in a row. Taniguchi's health is down to half, while Sua's is still mostly full. Sua starts to believe he can actually win. He's gotten stronger. This match is winnable. Now, Taniguchi is on the defensive, blocking, while Sua keeps attacking. Meanwhile, back at Rokumon High School, some students wonder where Taniguchi went. They had planned a karaoke session with girls, but they hear he went to Hinazuka to face the guy who took down Sachiya. They laugh, thinking it'll be easy. It's just that kid from yesterday. But one of them warns that if Taniguchi loses his cool, things can get ugly. His strength depends on the opponent. But if he gets serious, no one walks away unscathed. Back at the fight, Taniguchi has only a sliver of health left. Sua just needs one more hit. He decides to end it with another descending lightning strike. But this time Taniguchi blocks it. Sua is surprised. Then Taniguchi snarls, "Don't mess with me, Tsuchiya." He's furious. He still can't accept that Tsuchiya could lose to anyone other than him. Taniguchi launches a powerful counterattack. Sua blocks, but the impact breaks his guard and lands. Sua's health drops by more than half the power and speed. It's nothing like before. Feels like he's facing a berserk boss character. Sua tries another combo, including flying thunder punch, but Taniguchi just gets angrier. He pushes through Sua's fists and lands a heavy punch to Sua's side now. Sua's health is critically low. Sua is exhausted. The fight hurts. He wonders why he's even doing this. He should have quit earlier. He has no continues left. Maybe he should just apologize. But Taniguchi, still fuming, accuses Sua of using dirty tricks. He demands to know what Sua did to beat Tsuchiya. Sua reflects. Without reality mode, he really is just a weakling. But Taniguchi is strong. Taniguchi doesn't understand, and asks what Sua is talking about. Still, Sua knows he couldn't lose. Not after what Tsuchiya did to his friend. Tsuchiya is the real trash. Taniguchi looks confused, but then Sua's hyper gauge activates. This is his one chance. If he can just land this hit, maybe it'll turn the tide. Sua goes in for a full-powered punch. Taniguchi doesn't move. He takes the hit directly. But his health bar doesn't drop to 0. He still has a sliver left. Sua failed to finish him, Taniguchi admits. "You are strong." He then asks what Sua meant earlier about Tsuchiya and his friend. Something about Tsuchiya always felt off. Taniguchi wants to talk. He wants to know the truth about what happened between Sua and Tsuchiya. A notification pops up. Route branching. Cancel the match with Taniguchi Tatsuya. This is something new. Elsewhere people are eating. One guy complains. The meat is raw. The one eating it, Hattori, scoffs and says raw meat is the best. Others warn him he's lucky he hasn't wrecked his stomach. They bring up Rokumen and Hinazuka and mention the tough new guy from the internet. Hattori takes note of Sua, saying he's just skin and bones. This is Hattori Nobu. Takasawa High School's no, too, and to him, Sua looks absolutely gross. A few more people arrive, and Hattori's men inform him of their presence. Hattori notices them, and they nervously announce that they've brought the promised money. Hattori is pleased and apologizes for making them come all this way, but they assure him it's no problem at all. However, upon examining the money, Hattori notices something strange. He comments that the amount seems far too little. The others explain that they tried their best to collect as much as they could from their classmates and friends. Hattori acknowledges their effort, which is good in its own way, but then he grabs one of them and slams him to the ground. He tells them that trying hard is something that only works when you're a kid in high school. You need to produce Results Hattori hopes they understand that now, and demands that they bring the rest of the money quickly. To make sure they get the message, he takes one of them hostage until the full amount is paid. The others, frightened, run away. It's unclear if they'll actually return one of Hattori's friends. Adds seriously that meeting this month's quota has been tough. He urges Hattori to hurry up with conquering Hinazuka and Rokuyo Mine. They've been cautious because of Tsuchiya and the Obis until now, but they finally receive the green light if they can include those areas. In their collection meeting, the quota will be a piece of cake. Tori had wanted to play with Tsuchiya because, in his opinion, meat tastes better when it's tough, no matter how much he beats a weakling. It's still gross, he hopes. Suwa turns out to be delicious. Back at the fight, Taniguchi asks Suwa if what he said is true. Suwa confirms that every word is true, and that Tsuchiya did those things to them. After hearing this, Taniguchi is stunned. He can't believe Tsuchiya would do something so terrible to Suwa's friends. He wonders what he was even thinking. Suwa is confused too. He thought Taniguchi wanted to fight, but now he's the one getting angry over Tsuchiya. Then there's that notification again, a root branch. Suwa isn't sure why it appeared, but if it means the fight is cancelled, he'd happily choose that option. Suddenly, more people show up. They're from Rokuyo Mine. Hi and say they've been looking for Taniguchi. Suwa wonders why they're all gathered here. He just wants to go home, but when he tries to leave, Taniguchi tells him to stop. The fun is just beginning. Suwa grows anxious. He thought the fight was cancelled, but now it seems it might not be. Is this the bad route? Are all these guys going to gang up on him? But instead, they ask if Suwa wants to go with them. A bit later, they're all at karaoke. Taniguchi is singing anime songs. Everyone is having fun. Suwa sits nervously until someone tells him to relax. Taniguchi invited him. Standing up to Taniguchi, and even Tsuchiya was impressive. To Taniguchi, Suwa is special. Suwa wonders why. Then someone explains that Taniguchi and Tsuchiya have known each other since middle school. They've always competed with each other, though it's always been one-sided in Tsuchiya's favor. Taniguchi's goal has always been to defeat him. This is catchphrase. That doesn't mean they're enemies. They were the strongest duo in middle school. They respect each other's strength. In simple terms, they're rivals, at least to Taniguchi. Tsuchiya losing to someone like Suwa is a big deal. Suwa remembers Taniguchi's anger about Tsuchiya's loss and starts to understand. Maybe he just looks too weak to have pulled off such feats. The other guy tells him, that's not it. If Taniguchi acknowledges him, that's all that matters. They all admire Suwa. Taniguchi looks over at Torada, who had been talking with Suwa, and asks why there aren't any girls around. Wasn't this supposed to be a karaoke session with them? Apparently they all cancelled last minute. Taniguchi doesn't want Torada to mess with him, and wants Suwa to chime in too. Torada starts singing, and Taniguchi sits beside Suwa. So wonders why he's even here. Taniguchi says he sensed that Suwa was similar to him. He asks Suwa not to hide it. He probably isn't very popular with girls. When Suwa remains silent, Taniguchi gets curious and asks if he has a girlfriend. Suwa replies, no. Taniguchi is relieved. Just as he thought, even today's group date was cancelled. They joke about being unlucky with women. Suwa wonders if he's being insulted. Taniguchi says he was half joking, then he asks for a fist bump. Bump fists. Though it hurts Suwa a little based on what Suwa shared earlier. Taniguchi agrees that Tsuchiya deserved to get punched. He has no grudge against Suwa. More importantly, he was surprised by how strong Suwa actually is. They really went all out. That makes them buddies. Now, Suwa is confused but doesn't harbor any bad feelings toward Taniguchi. After this experience, Torada finishes his song about being manly, but everyone calls him an old man and laughs. Suwa never expected things to turn out like this. It doesn't even feel like a truce. It's just a good time, but he's especially surprised by Taniguchi's strength. After spending time together, it's time to part ways. Taniguchi. He tells Suwa to tell that idiot Tsuchiya to contact him later. Suwa agrees, then a notification appears. An alliance has been formed with Rokuyume High School. Rokuyume. Area conquest complete. It's a little confusing, but Suwa also receives experience points, raising his level from 21 to 23. Now he understands. Those areas are tied to the game. The Rokuyume area turned the same color as Hinazuka, and this is what an alliance means. If he turns all the areas the same color, he wonders if that will complete reality mode based on the window that popped up earlier. It just might. Taniguchi tells Suwa that he wants to meet again. Suwa is happy. He's fine with it all still. He wonders what would have happened if they had continued fighting in a normal game. Enemies level up over time. There are still 2 areas left, Kamahama and Takasawa. Several days later at school, people talk about how they've gone back to being invisible. Without realizing it, Suwa and Yoshikawa are together. Again, Yoshikawa says that based on their true abilities, this is just right, but Suwa tells him not to be so depressing. Cool brain, he reflects, on how reality mode is still active. Nothing's happened in the past few days, no new enemies. A bit boring, but peace is a good thing. Then Ando arrives. Looking for Suwa. He wants to talk and introduce someone. Suwa gets nervous. He recognizes. This pattern is another fight coming. He's already been through a lot, so he tells Ando they can talk later. But then Ando bows deeply. He says he saw how Suwa settled things with Rokumin, peacefully, and begs for Suwa's help. Confused Suwa and Yoshikawa decide to hear him out outside. Ando introduces his little sister. Akari looks at them and asks, who's this beansprout and four eyes? Are these really the people Ando was talking about? He confirms they are. Suwa is confused. And Yoshikawa, cool brain, is too. Akari hesitates, then calls Suawin. Sprout again and asks how she looks. She makes a cute face. Trying to impress him, even Ando joins in asking Swa to tell the truth. Swa, baffled by the question, doesn't know how to answer. He finally says, she's uniquely charming. Both Akari and Ando are pleased. Suwa, however, remains confused. What is happening right now? He has a bad feeling about this, and considers just heading home. Then a mission notification appears. It's a main mission. The timing is odd. Akari says she'll be counting on Suwa-senpai. The main mission make Ando Akari famous. What kind of mission is this? Carrie takes out her phone and starts clicking various selfies. She wants to become a top pick popper in no time. A pickpopper is a high schooler who uploads videos on the popular online platform Pickpock Endo, then tells Suwa that his sister asked him to come up with something to make her go viral. But he has no clue about that stuff since Suwa has become popular recently. Endo feels like it's Suwa's specialty and asks him for help before Suwa can respond. Yoshikawa comments that it looks like Endo is just pushing his problem onto them. He wonders if Endo is seriously the anything for my little sister type. Akari then asks her brother if he's sure that Senpai will be a good assistant. Endo confidently tells her that Suwa is Hinazuka's strongest. Suwa Hei 8, and that she can definitely rely on him. Hearing the word strongest even makes Akari a bit happy. However, Suwa grows more worried suddenly. Akari, sometimes known as Akira, comes close to Suwa and starts clicking his photos. Fascinated that he's the strongest, she begins recording and asks Suwa to do something strong, like so confused, doesn't know what to do. Endo just leaves everything to Suwa and walks away, saying he's counting on him. Yoshikawa also bails, pretending he remembered something urgent. Suwa, now left alone, wonders why he has to do this. It has nothing to do with fighting games, but his current main mission is to make Endo Akari famous. The reward is experience points, though Suwa doesn't see the point in any of this. Akari grabs him and says, let's go senpai, make yourself useful. Suwa wonders what this reality mode is planning. Now, we then see Akari making weird faces and cheerfully announcing that today they're doing the onion eating speedrun challenge. She even mentions there's a Guinness World record for it as Suwa holds the camera. She starts eating the prepared onion. It's difficult, and she struggles, needing water and feeling queasy, but finishes it. Then, she announces a solo 50-meter sprint to prove she's fast, keeps recording her every move, confused as to what she's doing, and whether this is the kind of content that goes viral. Kari keeps calling out to Senpai and asks if he's getting nice shots. Suwa isn't sure, but he thinks he's doing okay. Her lack of enthusiasm starts troubling her. She makes a marmot face again, which creeps Suwa out. When she explains it's a redentious Sayuri, Suwa gets even more confused and sad. He seriously questions the point of this mission. Akari gets frustrated and asks how he's going to help her create viral content if he doesn't have any ideas. Suwa then reveals that he actually does have one. This surprises Akari, who doubts him at first, but Suwa insists. His idea, a fighting game live stream, this excites Suwa. But Akari is skeptical. She thinks it sounds lame and won't become popular. However, she checks the comments on her latest video and sees someone named Gucci-san has commented. Again, Akari is excited, thinking there are real people out there enjoying her content. Suwa has to admit that people really do have all sorts of tastes. Carrie says that Gucci-san sounds like an energetic, young girl, and she's thrilled to see engagement on her videos. Suwa asks her if she wants to go viral just to become an influencer. Kari says there's nothing wrong with that. She wants to be at the top. She admits she's not good at studying and knows her looks aren't amazing, but she enjoys posting videos. She finally found something she loves. Tua remains silent for a moment. Understanding her desire, he tells her she's right. Just doing what she enjoys is enough. He gets pumped up and tells her that he'll help her seriously. Now they'll create that, no. One buzz. Akari is surprised and happy to see Senpai so motivated others. Nearby, wonder what those two are up to. Suo realizes this is following a familiar pattern. Reality mode is up to its tricks. Again, he can tell those guys are decent level opponents. This wide park isn't ideal for multi-person combat. Akari, cheerful again, introduces herself to the strangers, saying she runs Hitomaru Akari's channel on Pickpock. She asks if they're famous or rich, and proudly mentions she has 20 followers. The others laugh and call her a small fry. Suwa doesn't like this, he wonders, if they're gonna rob them or just cause trouble. Akari brushes it off, saying she's used to this. Even her brother acts like that. Suwa starts to feel sympathy for her. These guys seem strong, so he decides to play along. He's impressed by Akari's sharpness. Strangers whisper among themselves, saying it would be risky to mess with them. They could end up going viral for the wrong reasons. They apologize and leave, wishing them luck. But as they walk away, they laugh about watching a fool trying hard. It's quality content to them. Though Akari smiled earlier, she now looks depressed. Suwa notices and calls out to the guys, calling them scum. They're shocked and ask if this plain-looking kid just insulted them. Suwa confirms he did and says no one insults his friend, and walks away. Kari begs Suwa to stop the others. Get ready to fight. Suwa calmly tells her to start recording. This confuses her, but he reminds her that he promised to help her go viral. This is her special project. A live fighting game stream. He puts on his glove and challenges the others. They begin attacking Suwa. At first, he gets overwhelmed. Akari is concerned, wondering why he's getting beaten up, but Suwa remains focused. He's been planning for this, strategizing combos to handle multiple enemies in open space. Their attacks are out of sync, with long recovery frames. As one tries to punch him, Suwa dashes forward and hits him with a flying thunder punch. Dropping him, he follows up with a 3-hit combo. On another, taking him out. Their leader grows worried before they can run. Suwa uses descending lightning strike and knocks out Suzuki, a level 28 fighter now. Suwa stands alone. Victorious Carrie records everything in disbelief. She finally sees the truth. Suwa Hayate really is Hinazuka's strongest. He runs to him excitedly, praising the amazing footage. So I tired. Says he might have gone a bit overboard. They decide to head back at night. Akari uploads the video of Suwa's fight. It goes viral. 100,000 views overnight, and 300 new followers. He gives all the credit to Suwa. A notification confirms the mission is cleared. Suwa's level increases from 23 to 24. Finally, the strange mission is over. Then Akari asks Suwa if he wants to attend a live show. Suwa is confused. He explains it's for the underground idol group, Dream Colored Bloom. Her friend can't go, so she invites Suwa. He's still unsure. But Akari insists it's good luck if he goes with her. All the idol members are on Pickpock too. Akari introduces Rice and her favorite, and who inspired her to start posting. Suwa agrees she's cute, but says he prefers Hiragi-san as he blushes. As the mission updates now, he must attend the live performance to unlock the medium tier of special attacks, though it's framed as an update. It feels like part of the same mission. The reward is appealing when Akari invites him again. Suwa agrees. They arrive at Event Space Z, a live house. Suwa's first time in a place like this. The area is close to the mission zone. Takasawa High School is nearby. He's relieved the mission probably doesn't involve the live show, but as they enter, Hattori exits. He and Suwa lock eyes. Hattori grins maniacally, and without hesitation, throws a punch at the confused Suwa, but before the punch can reach Suwa, it stops. Hattori then asks if Suwa is a customer for the live show. His fist turns into an open hand as he requests their tickets. So I notices his name is Hattori, and his level is 22. Kari immediately hands over their tickets. Hattori laughs and tells them to walk down the corridor. Venue is on the right. Akari tells, so let's go, senpai. Suwa laughs nervously as he passes by, Hattori admitting to himself that the moment caught him off guard. Hattori's level is actually lower than his own, so a fight was unlikely. Still, as he walks further away, Hattori's sinister aura makes him cautious. He glances back to see Hattori, smiling menacingly. Eventually, Hattori tells them to enjoy the show. Akari asks if something is wrong, but Suwa says it's nothing. Hattori then speaks to his friend, confirming that the boy was Hayate. Kuin from Hinazuka, his friend agrees, since they're hosting an important fundraising event, they need to avoid any fights. Hattori nods. He held back for that reason, and has something more important planned. He leaves the rest to his friend Kanemaru, who acknowledges the task later. Suwa and Akari enjoy the idol, show the idols, encourage everyone to sing along, and the crowd gets hyped. Suwa is a bit confused and nervous, but joins in. Akari notices his odd movements and comments That he's dancing strangely, Suho admits. He's trying his best, one of the idols seems to be looking at him, which makes Suho wonder if he's that out of place. Suddenly, a notification appears. It's a bonus stage. Suho must dance to the beat to earn experience points. Arrows begin to scroll like a rhythm game. Suho recognizes the mechanic and begins moving with excitement. Akari observes that his dancing has gotten even weirder, but he's clearly enjoying it. Suho focuses on timing everything perfectly. His experience points start increasing rapidly. He gives it his all, aiming for a perfect clear. People around him stop dancing and begin watching in awe. They're amazed by his moves and think he doesn't even seem human. Sua's level rises from 23 to 24 at the post-live fan service. Sua is exhausted. Akari tells her idol that she's a fan and is on Pickpop. Because of her, the idol thanks her, glad to meet a female. Fan Akari is thrilled to get a picture with Lee. Sua says it's nice, but Akari notices he looks unwell. Sua admits he used more energy than expected and runs off to the bathroom, while Akari takes more photos. One VIP shows a card granting access to a special area. Sua later returns and apologizes, suggesting Akari go home without him. She decides to wait. Akari finds an open door to a storage room and investigates inside. She finds a swimsuit costume and a briefcase full of money. Sua walks up. Surprised, she called him. Sua asks if they're even allowed in the room. He sees the money and says it's wrong to be there without permission. Carrie wants to stay a bit longer, but Sua tries to open the door. It won't budge. It's blocked by a chair. He bangs on the door hoping someone will hear. Carrie is shocked this is happening. Meanwhile, the idols begin their VIP concert, the You May Know. The Bloom special live. The music is loud. No one hears their calls. Carrie's phone has no signal. Sua smiles and reassures her he decides to use force. Tells Akari to stand back and fires a lightning bullet. The door bursts open. Kari is stunned. Sua says he's glad they can leave now. They peek outside and witness the VIP show. Mika-chan's personal items, including sweaty pants from the live, are being auctioned. Prices rise to 50,000 and then 100,000 yen. Sua is shocked. He didn't expect underground idols to do this. Carrie is also confused. A man confronts them, asking for their VIP ticket. He asks if they plan to call the police or attack. He refers to Sua as Hinazuka's no. One Sua realizes something, but is too slow. He gets kicked into a wall, though he blocks the hit. It still throws him hard. Carrie shouts for him. One of the idols emerges asking what happened. Kanemaru explains someone got into the VIP area without permission. The idol says they'll have to silence them. Carrie tries to explain it was a mistake. The idol says Akari's fine, but suggests filming her in a matching outfit. Kari is horrified. More men grab Akari, but trying to take her away, so yells for them to stop, but gets beaten. Kanemaru grabs Sua and demands to know how he learned of Takasawa High School's connection. Sua says he has no idea. Kanemaru mocks his title as Hinazuka's no one and says Hattori has plans to crush both Hinazuka and Rokumen. He says Taniguchi of Rokumen might already be finished, since Hattori is meeting him now. Taniguchi asks who Hattori is. Hattori introduces himself as being from Takasawa High and says he came to play. Meanwhile, Sua realizes the earlier briefcase of money must be connected. These people aren't just high schoolers. He must escape with Akari. She's in real danger. He wants to do it without fighting, but a notification appears. Challenger Kanemaru Taku level 48. It's uncancelable. Sua is stunned. He's level 24. Kanemaru is level 48, and he's built different. The fight is about to begin. Sua himself begs Lisan, asking why she is doing this. He insists they didn't do anything, and pleads with her to stop that guy. However, Lisan says she doesn't want anyone to be stopped. She even adds that, come to think of it, he might be right. She remembers how Akari said she's a huge fan of theirs, and she tells Sua that she's really sorry, but must decline his request. She apologizes, again saying maybe they would have been disappointed anyway. Annoying kids like them should just disappear. Akari can't believe her favorite idol is saying such cruel things. She asks why Lisan is doing any of this. Sua is equally confused and worried. Suddenly he hears a voice when the men try to take Akari. She again shouts for them to stop. Kanemaru laughs, finding it hilarious that her idol called her annoying. Suho shouts at him, calling him fatty, and telling him to shut it. He doesn't find any of this funny. Now truly angry, he decides to beat them up. He calls on reality mode to begin the fight. He's ready, but still unable to remove Kanemaru's hand from him. Kanemaru laughs, again mocking Sua for flailing his legs around. Despite saying he'd beat them up, Sua can't use any techniques. Even though he inputs the commands, his body doesn't respond. Maybe it's like before, when his character couldn't move mid-air. His skills are useless right now. Still, he calms himself. He anticipated this, and decides to strike with his own strength. He punches Kanemaru, but Kanemaru laughs and asks if it's a joke. The punch does no damage. Suwa already knew it. His fist hurts like hell. His own health starts dropping. Rapidly reality mode only enhances him when he's in character. Control his body itself is still level 1. Kanemaru increases his force, calling Suwa worthless. Even Suwa has to admit he's right, he's about to faint. These kinds of holds weren't in battle arena. He's starting to lose it. His game techniques are useless. Then suddenly confidence surges in him. He decides there's one fighting game trick he can still use. Suwa asks Kanemaru if he's scared. Kanemaru, confused, says nothing. Suwa declares himself the strongest at Hinazuka. Kanemaru holds him down. Suwa keeps taunting, calling him slow, saying he wouldn't even be able to touch him if he let go. He dares Kanemaru to finish him before embarrassing himself. In front of his friends, Kanemaru stays silent. The others laugh, wondering what Suwa is talking about. They joke that if Suwa really is Hinazuka's strongest, maybe Kanemaru wouldn't stand a chance. This infuriates Kanemaru. The others egg him on to finish Suwa already. Now getting bad vibes, Kanemaru, annoyed by their comments, throws Suwa hard. Suwa takes heavy damage. Now furious, Kanemaru bumps his fists and says, Suwa asked for it. He's going to beat him to a pulp. But Suwa is happy his taunt worked. It was a classic fighting game bait. He provoked Kanemaru, and now the situation is more favorable. He figures out Kanemaru is a power type, and plans to use his speed. But then suddenly Kanemaru charges, with glowing red eyes, and punches Suwa hard in the face. Suwa is shocked. This guy is faster than his controller version. He dodges the next punch with a sidestep, trying to create distance. But Kanemaru keeps punching. Kanemaru laughs, asking what happened to Suwa's earlier confidence. Who's the slow one now? He mocks Suwa's health drops rapidly. The crowd laughs, calling Suwa an idiot. Kanemaru may be fat, but he moves well. One guy jokes more, but a chair suddenly flies and hits him. Suwa curses himself for letting his guard down. He's still a level 1 weakling. He needs to focus. Kanemaru mocks him again, saying the so-called Hinazuka strongest is all bluff. He's ready to finish Suwa off, but the onlookers start whispering. Something feels off. They can't believe. Kanemaru struggling still. Well, Kanemaru keeps landing. Hits Suwa, however, focuses on guarding perfectly. Those other two guys were much stronger than Kanemaru. He begins to land, hits back, draining Kanemaru's HP. Kanemaru gets angry about being beaten by a brat. He strikes again, but Suwa jumps and uses a descending lightning strike. Kanemaru blocks. Suwa admits his reactions are sharp, but he had a plan. He follows up with a lightning bullet to Kanemaru's undefended body. Connects. Kanemaru's HP hits 0 KO. He collapses. The others are stunned. The idols and VIPs, hearing the noise, think it might be the police. Panic spreads. They can't let their families find out. Everyone just wants to run the guys trying to take Akari's picture. Tell her to stop resisting, but she keeps fighting back. Idol Lee hears the noise outside and wonders what's going on. Then someone flies into the room. Suwa punched him and Lee is shocked. Suwa rushes in, relieved to find Akari, and tells her they need to leave. Lee doesn't understand what's happening. Akari tells her she recorded everything and will post it if anyone messes with them. Again, she even calls Lee an idiot. Lee gives in. The other idols panic, whispering about how one guy took out everyone. They ask Lee what to do. She says she'll tell Hirokuen. Outside, Akari assures Suwa she's fine since he keeps asking. Suwa suggests going to the police, but Akari says, no, those guys are dangerous. Her Aniki is the same way. She doesn't want Suwa getting involved. She's heartbroken that Lee turned out this way. She sits down and cries, apologizing. She was scared. Suwa hugs her to comfort her. He promises to take her home. He never imagined things would go like this. I think Takasawa High was involved. They should stay away. He notices the map color changing. Then we see Hattori, a bit roughed up, get a call from Hiro. He hears that the concert was ruined and Kanemaru got beaten. Hattori understands and says he's returning about Rokumen. He had fun. We see Taniguchi lying on the ground after the call. Hattori is angry with Kanemaru for ruining his fun and losing to Suwa. He can't believe Suwa is real. Taniguchi hears Suwa's name and smiles. Hattori asks, what's wrong? Taniguchi just asks if his friend got beat. He's happy. He must have underestimated Suwa. That guy is something amazing. Hattori grumbles that Taniguchi still has the energy to talk. He doesn't care anymore. He stomps off, saying goodbye, back with Suwa and Akari. Suwa sees that Rokumen's area turned Takasawa red. A notification appears. Taniguchi Tatsuya has been defeated by Hattori Shin allied. Area Rokumen has been lost. Suwa stares in disbelief, trying to understand the message. Who is Hattori? What happened to Taniguchi? He can't believe it, however. After thinking about it for a bit, Suwa finally realizes who Hattori is. He's the same guy Suwa met at the event, the one with level 22, who acted like he was about to punch him only to ask for tickets instead. So all wonders if that really was him, but if so, how did someone at that level manage to defeat Taniguchi Akari? Then apologizes to her senpai, saying she's alright now, and can get home by herself. She admits that he saved her again, and that's why he's amazing. She also finally acknowledges that he really is the strongest guy at Hinazuka. She thanks him, and takes her leave. But Suwa isn't exactly thrilled. He sighs hearing himself called Hinazuka's strongest. Once again, then a notification pops up. It says his main mission is cleared. He completed it. The reward, medium special techniques, unlocked his level jumps from 24 to 25, he even levels up, and then the level 25 bonus. Character list unlocked. Now, what is this character list? Suwa fiddles with the controls a bit, and finally finds it. It shows that Hattori is a second-year student. At Takasawa Commercial High School, he's the leader of the Hattori squad, and his stats are pretty high. Suwa is surprised right now. Suwa holds the title of Hinazuka's strongest, even if people keep telling him that, without his overpowered fighting game skill, he's just a weakling. So he knows he needs to practice to keep his skills sharp. His account has been like that ever since reality mode began, and he can't play at home anymore. At home, the notification just says that his user ID Heya is currently in reality mode and cannot access other modes. Suwa still has no idea what privileges as God even means these days. He's fighting more than playing. Using fighting game techniques in real life is fun and all, but honestly he just wanted to be good at fighting games. And once again in the game he lands another nice KO. All the kids watching call him awesome. They cannot believe how Suwa pulled off that combo. Even the kids around him mention that they've never seen anything like it before. This surprises Suwa a bit as well. Everyone starts praising him, calling him crazy good. Some even begin filming him. He didn't realize he had drawn a crowd. He had gathered an audience before he even knew it. Now, it doesn't feel half bad playing at the arcade. It feels like they're appreciating the real him. He wonders if his reactions were always this sharp, like he can see and predict every little thing he lands. Another combo, flawlessly. Suwa knows he's up against the CPU, but still, he feels unbeatable. He wonders what's going on, because for some reason, he's sure he's gotten even better. The kids then come up to him, telling him he's awesome, and asking if he comes here often. Some even say they want to have a match with him. Suwa just laughs, and thinks to himself that fighting games really are great, much better than actual fights. But still, his skills at fighting games should have deteriorated, since he's been doing nothing but real fights recently. Yet it's the opposite. He wonders, what if the experience from real fights has actually improved his skills in fighting games? 2. Maybe this is the privilege of reality mode. The more he fights and levels up, the better he becomes at fighting games. He needs to defeat the hoodlums listed in this character list, and it's a huge list. Feels more like a thug guide than anything. And Suwa didn't even realize he hadn't been coming to school. What in the world has he been doing? But trying to contact him feels oddly awkward. He notices if they'll only show up once he meets them. As for Rokuman, there are a lot of names, but many are still a mystery. Maybe he should try calling Taniguchi. Hattori from Takasawa is also on the list, so he must be there. No, but still Suwa wonders, why is the fatty below him? He questions whether their levels actually correlate with their real strength. Then again, the same could be said for himself anyway. For now, he guesses he just has to beat the top spot in the mission area. Who that could be. The next day, at Takasawa High School, Kanemaru arrives and says that he's here addressing someone named Oraito. But Hattori tells him that Hiro Oraito isn't around. He says he actually came to invite him to a barbecue. Kanemaru is a bit surprised to see Hattori here, but Hattori says he's not planning to give Kanemaru any barbecue unless he goes on a diet. Otherwise, Kanemaru will just end up losing again. This scares Kanemaru a little. He tells Hattori that he wants to deal with that kid himself. He just can't calm down unless he takes that kid down for good. But Hattori replies that he's not in charge of that, and because of a certain someone there, her income from Bloom vanished into thin air. So now he has to make some money. The guys from Kamahama are waiting. Kanemaru complains that they have to pay those Kamahama guys way too much. Every day he starts to say that maybe they should give those guys from Kamahama, but Hattori cuts him off sharply, his face turning is frightening as he warns him not to complain about Kamahama. If Hiro heard him, Kanemaru wouldn't get away with just a beating. Kanemaru immediately changes his tone. Suddenly sounding innocent, he insists that he wasn't complaining. Or anything, Hattori continues, saying that since Hiro has gone off to take care of Hinazuka Kanemaru, probably won't get another chance for revenge. But Kanemaru can't believe what he's hearing. Then Hattori tells him to look at the screen, which displays a lot of information about Suahei. Kanemaru stares in disbelief. He can't believe this is that same brat. Without another word, he storms out of the room. Hattori calls out his name, but gets no response. He just sighs and mutters, "Idiot." Another guy comes in and says that Hattori must come along with him. The guys from Rokumen are involved, and that catches Hattori's interest later. We see a group of people getting beaten up. The ones doing the beating demand that their boss come out. They say they're not planning to let anyone off easily, especially after these guys sent Taniguchi to the hospital. One of them screams out, calling the bastards to come out and face them. Hattori laughs as he looks out the window and sees them charging in from the front. He remarks on how brave and manly that is, and admits it's impressive. Still, it looks like that's just how much they adore Taniguchi. Hattori figures this must be why people call them your average idiots. Then stepping outside just as they demanded, he says, "Let's go grab a little something to eat." Later, we cut to someone asking Sua if he could do the dishes. Sua replies with an okay, but his thoughts are elsewhere. He keeps wondering what exactly he needs to do to conquer a mission area. Should you just go there and yell, "Fight me"? That would just make him look crazy. He's already sent a message to Taniguchi, asking if he's alright, and saying that if he wants to talk, he can call, but he hasn't received a reply, yet the message is still unread. Hiragi then asks Sua, "What's wrong?" catching him off guard. Sua is a bit surprised by the sudden question. Hiragi says it kind of feels like his head is in the clouds. Sua quickly says it's nothing, and that he's fine, then asks if she needs anything. Hiragi laughs and says no, it's nothing, just that they didn't have many customers today, so it looks like they can get off early. Soa laughs too and says they'll clean up in a jiffy. Hiragi stays silent for a moment, but smiles, admiring him quietly. They've done a good job today then. As they're leaving, Hiragi approaches Sua and says there's something she wanted to talk about. She comes really close to him. Sua gets nervous and asks what it is. Then Hiragi asks Sua directly, did he get into another fight? Sua thinks about all of this for a bit, and then says that he didn't, he was just lazing around the whole day yesterday. Hiragi replies that she really hopes that's the case. However, in his mind, Sua thinks that it would be a problem if she found out he was fighting again. Then he wonders if that's why she called out to him. He seems concerned. For someone like him, she's just so kind, but that's to be expected of his Li Long. Then Hiragi tells Sua that she's gonna quit this job. This comes as a big surprise and shock for Sua. Hiragi explains that her father's gym needs some help, and he told her to start assisting right away. Sua nods and says that he understands while also picturing Hiragi in a gym outfit. He then says that he thinks it would really suit her. Hiragi starts blushing a bit and asks if Sua really thinks so. Sua says yes and starts laughing. However, then reality hits him. No way. How could this happen? He has to say goodbye to Li Long so suddenly, but then Hiragi asks if she can call him sometimes. Once her shifts and other things settle down, she adds that she would love it if Sua could come hang out at the gym with her, only if it isn't a bother. Of course, however, of course, so I cannot allow or even think about that being a bother. So he says that of course he would love to go. It's not really a goodbye. After all, Hiragi's face lights up once again, and she smiles really big, saying, thank goodness. Let's train together. Again, sometimes Sua cannot believe how amazing Hiragi really is, and how lucky he is to be this close to her. But then suddenly, a voice calls out saying that he's finally found that city brat. Sua gets worried and glances sideways, realizing it's the guy from yesterday. It's Kanemaru, and he walks straight towards Sua, declaring that he's gonna finish him off permanently, right here, right now. Sua immediately tells Hiragi to get away. This is really big trouble for him. He wonders why the hell that fatty from yesterday is here, but either way, he needs to stop him. Hiragi is in danger. With red eyes, that fatty just keeps coming toward him no matter how many times Sua yells for him to stop. He just keeps charging. Even Hiragi starts getting worried about Sua. So now Sua has no choice. He has to do something. But then suddenly, another guy appears between them. Kanemaru is still raging with red eyes, but in the next moment, he's seen flying away and crashing to the ground. Sua is stunned by what just happened. The guy who showed up just now sent Kanemaru flying like that. He wonders, was that punch as strong as lightning bullet? Then the guy turns to Sua and apologizes, saying it looks like their Kanemaru has caused him a lot of trouble. He politely asks Sua not to take it the wrong way. Kanemaru acted on his own personally. He says he's against violence and assumes Sua would feel the same way. That's why he came here to talk business. Talk that is, and then suddenly, Suwa notices his character list updating. Now Takizawa High School shows the, no, one student as Urato Mahiro, who is at level 30, the list refreshes. That means this guy is Takizawa's number 1, he introduces himself. With a smile and says it's a pleasure to meet Suwa. Hiragi gets angry and demands to know what's going on all of a sudden. She says she's gonna call the police. However, the mysterious guy Urato Mahiro asks her to hold on for a second. He then steps closer to Suwa, saying that, upon taking a closer look, he might have mistaken him for someone else. Suwa is confused, and Urato apologizes, claiming it was his mistake, but then leaning in even closer. He quietly suggests that Suwa should send Haragi Wakana home, so the two of them can have a little chat in private. He adds that he'll be waiting in the park just ahead. Suwa is taken aback, wondering how this guy even knows Hiragi's full name as Urato. Turns to leave. He walks over to Kanemaru and casually excuses himself, before trying to wake him up, muttering that Kanemaru really is nothing but trouble. Hiragi then checks on Suwa, asking if he's okay. Suwa assures her that he's fine. She asks if he knows that guy, and Suwa replies that he doesn't. He has no idea who he is. With that, Urato leaves Suwa, then heads toward the park, the place Urato mentioned there. He finds Takizawa's top guy waiting. Urato Mahiro. Suwa already knows this is bad news. Urato greets him and assumes that Hiragi has already gone home. Suwa asks, this is supposed to be revenge for what happened yesterday. He says it feels like he's just been dragged into the situation without warning. He also questions how Urato knows Hiragi's name. Urato Mahiro comments that from the way Suwa is speaking, it seems like Suwa already knows quite a bit about him, which he finds interesting. Then he formally introduces himself as Urato Mahiro, calling himself a humble goodwill ambassador. After that, he hands Suwa an official communique, an official letter. Mahiro adds that he hopes Suwa is human, so they can have a proper understanding. He says it's fine, he just wants to talk. Sawa takes the letter and wonders what it's about. Then he sees the no. 3 million. It's an invoice addressed to Hinazuka High School. That means Takasawa High expect that much in payment. Mahiro explains that this amount should cover the damages from the concert incident. He believes the terms are quite reasonable, and thinks even Suwa would agree. After all, they want to maintain good relations with the Hinazuka crowd too. However, Suwa is shocked. Can't believe what he's hearing. 3 million. There's no way he could possibly come up with that kind of money. Mahiro then suggests that he could just collect it from the students at Hinazuka, since Suwa is their top guy. It should be a piece of cake for him. Mahiro then shows Suwa something on his phone. Apparently, some troublesome individuals showed up at their school earlier. Suwa immediately recognizes them as the guys from Rokuman. Mahiro mentions that, as it turns out, those guys aren't exactly human, with a chilling expression. He adds that beasts who can't be reasoned with honestly make his skin crawl. Mahiro then says that if collecting money from everyone is too difficult, he could handle it himself. He's been feeling a bit bored lately anyway, and chatting with students from other schools sounds like a fun way to pass the time. He just enjoys talking to humans. Then raising one finger, he tells Suwa he has 1 week that should be enough time to gather the money. Until then, he promises not to take any action. Suwa is deeply worried. As Mahiro turns to leave, he says that he's glad Suwa is someone he can actually talk things over with, that he's glad Suwa is human. Suwa tries to stop him, asking him to wait, but in his mind, he's overwhelmed by how one-sided the entire situation is. He really doesn't want to get screwed over. Then as Mahiro walks away, Suwa takes a look at his health bar and level. It's just 30. He begins to wonder if Mahiro is really Takasawa's top guy with a level like that, and if they were to fight right now, would he stand a chance? However, Mahiro then suddenly turns around and gives Suwa a menacing stare so intense that it actually scares him. Mahiro just stands there, radiating pressure. While Suwa begins to panic internally, Mahiro says that he believes settling this with money is Suwa's best option. After all, he's already had him thoroughly investigated. He adds that he doesn't expect Suwa to run away, but just in case, they'll be waiting for him at Takasawa. In a week, Suwa doesn't understand what just happened. He felt it back then with Hattori, and now again with Urato. These guys aren't even particularly high level, and yet, there's something different about them, something overwhelming. Then a notification pops up for the main mission. Conquer the Takasawa area. The clear conditions are listed. First, form a team, and second, feat Urato Mahiro and Hattori Shin. The reward is unknown. Suwa knew it. He figured this would be the next mission. But still, what's with these clear conditions? He thinks about Mahiro. Again, that guy said he would investigate him, but isn't that basically blackmail? And what if he doesn't pay, and something happens to Hiragi? That's absolutely out of the question. Damn it, he thinks the deadline is just 1 week. 3 million yen. He doesn't even have 50,000 inches. His savings the next day at school. Suwa is still completely preoccupied, he keeps thinking. What if he could collect 10,000 yen from everyone? Or maybe 5,000 each, maybe more. But no, that's just not possible. There's no way that could work. So he guesses. He really does have to fight. Just like the mission says. But if it comes to that seriously, why is he the one who has to deal with all of this? Is overwhelmed, worried, scared, and confused. All at once. Then Yoshikawa shows up and tells Suwa that they should head home while walking together. Yoshikawa notices. Something's off. He says Suwa has been spacing out all day, and asks, "What's wrong, Suwa?" Suddenly asks if Yoshikawa happens to, "I have 3 million yen on him." Yoshikawa is stunned and replies, asking if Suwa's an idiot. Of course he doesn't, Suwa figures as much, and just says, to forget it. Then, out of nowhere, he asks if Yoshikawa knows anything about Takasawa. Yoshikawa starts thinking a bit confused, wondering what's going on. All of a sudden, Yoshikawa then mentions that there are definitely rumors, things like their alumni being connected to the Yakuza, or even some police officers being in cahoots with them. Suwa can't believe it, even the cops. But Yoshikawa quickly clarifies that it's all just rumors, pure hearsay. Still, he says that asking about stuff like that almost feels like Suwa is getting tangled up in something weird again. Suwa insists that it's nothing like that. He says he just happened to overhear something. Nothing serious. Yoshikawa tells him not to underestimate the information coming from the school's brain. They're not being bullied anymore. And that's good enough. He just wants Suwa to stay far away from a place like Takasawa. That place is nothing but trouble filled with shady rumors. Then wonders where Yoshikawa even gets all his intel from still. He knows getting involved with Takasawa's crew would definitely be bad news, but then again, how is he supposed to handle all of this alone? Suddenly a notification pops up asking if he would like to add Yoshikawa Koichi to his team. This is it, Suwa realizes. The game wants him to form a team without one. He probably won't stand a chance of winning. He tries, selecting yes, and the team list appears. Now he understands how to actually form a team. Yoshikawa is listed at level 3. Suwa wonders if there are any benefits to being in a team, especially when there are 4 open slots in that case. He's gonna need to fill them with stronger guys even if they're only a bit tougher. Yoshikawa, though, is clearly a weak character. Suwa decides to remove him, but then he realizes he can't. The system won't let him. Once a teammate is added, it's final. He can't cancel it. No way. So I thinks once it's set, it's permanent. What kind of crappy system is this? He gets frustrated and mutters not to mess with him. Yoshikawa, watching all this, sees Suwa pointing at the air and wonders what he's even doing. Suwa then grabs Yoshikawa by the collar and calls him an idiot, saying that wasting a precious team slot on someone like him was a huge mistake. Yoshikawa is completely confused, but Suwa has to accept the reality. He's stuck with Yoshikawa now, at the very least. He still has some open slots, and he's gonna need strong characters to fill them. Suwa starts wondering who he should pick for his team. It's gotta be someone like Tsuchiya. But just then, a voice suddenly shouts out, "Bring it on, you punks." Both Suwa and Yoshikawa are startled. They peek over to see what's happening. When they take a look, Yoshikawa wonders aloud if those guys are from NOJ Industrial. And sure enough, Endo and Kojima are with them. The NOJ guys shout that they don't have time to waste on chumps like them, but the other side fires back, saying they've got no business with small fries and demand that Tsuchiya be dragged out. Endo replies that Tsuchiya isn't around right now, and they're the ones watching the fort, so they'll take them on. Instead, with that, Endo and Kojima charge toward the others. Fists raised, Suwa watches and thinks to himself that these NOJ guys, no matter how many times they get their butts kicked, just never learn. Still, Endo and Kojima are supposedly right behind Tsuchiya in terms of strength at their school. Maybe they could be potential candidates for his team, but then again he sees Endo immediately take a punch straight to the face, and Kojima gets kicked hard in the stomach. Both collapse onto the ground. The attackers laugh and talk about how weak these guys are, calling them pathetic. Suwa then asks himself if they were always this bad. All those muscles on them seem like a complete waste. With both down for the count, trying to take on Takasawa with a crew like this is clearly impossible. Even Yoshikawa can see how completely one-sided the fight is. Then Suwa steps forward. The other guys take notice and recognize him. I quickly realized this must be Suwa's friend. Suwa sees that there are 3 of them and their level seem pretty low, so he figures he can end it in one go. He launches into action with a mid-air medium kick, followed by a flying knee. One guy is knocked to the ground. Instantly the remaining 2 are stunned. As they turn to react and throw a punch at Suwa, He ducks low and counters with a punch combo taking another guy out. The last one is left standing helplessly, watching his second friend collapse, and then it's his own turn. Tsuchiya might not be around, but Suwa is here fighting with everything he's got, with one more powerful uppercut, the Flying Thunder Roar Fist. He ends the fight, everyone is knocked out, and he earns experience points. Kojima and Endo slowly get back up. Kojima says they're saved, while Endo praises Suwa, calling the whole thing awesome, and complaining that those jerks just showed up out of nowhere looking for a fight. Kojima agrees, saying they were a total pain, but Suwa just can't understand these guys. As they are now, they're completely useless. Even if he adds them to his team still, something about seeing them get beaten so badly stirs something in him. It's frustrating, so he makes a decision. He'll just make them strong, swears at Endo and Kojima notice him, muttering, and ask what's wrong. Then Suwa suddenly calls out both their names, along with Yoshikawa's, and declares that he's going to thoroughly train every single one of them. He'll make them all strong. He tells them to prepare themselves. The three of them are surprised, staring in confusion. They wonder what Suwa is even talking about. Yoshikawa especially doesn't understand why he's being included in this. Suwa thinks to himself that they have only 1 week to raise the team's level. Right now it's bad, really bad. With the members he has no choice but to make it work if he wants to take on Takasawa High later. At the hospital we see Taniguchi resting. Someone comes to visit him. The visitor comments that Taniguchi looks pretty damn comfortable. Taniguchi, upon seeing who it is, calls him a bastard. It's none other than Tsuchiya. Taniguchi immediately rises from his bed and demands to know what Tsuchiya is doing there. His sudden burst of energy causes him sharp pain, but his frustration overrides it, until he blinks again and realizes no one is there. Tsuchiya is gone. He wonders if he was half asleep or just imagining things. It's pathetic, he thinks, to be in such a state. He knows he has to make up for his mistake. Big time. He remembers everything that happened, and still can't believe his target turned out to be Suwa. A guy like that, he never thought he even existed. The frustration builds inside him, but even now, he quietly hopes Suwa will have his back. Meanwhile, Suwa is trying to train the others, who are all confused about what's going through his mind. Endo questions how exactly Suwa plans to train them, while Kojima wonders what Suwa is even thinking. Suwa explains that Takasawa's top guy Yurato came to see him directly. He then shows them an invoice. The others are stunned to see the 3 million yen written on it. Suwa warns that if they can't pay, there's no telling what might happen next. He continues, telling them about Yurato, and especially about a guy named Kirasaki, who is known to be seriously dangerous. Rumors say even the crew from Rokugakure got taken out. Endo is shocked to hear that Taniguchi was involved in this mess too. That's why Suwa wants them to realize that if they stay the way they are, they're finished. Yoshikawa quickly processes the situation and calmly states that while he understands, he won't be of much help. He assumes no one would bother going after someone like him anyway. Suwa insists that Yoshikawa will definitely be a target too. Yoshikawa reacts in panic, unable to believe it. Suwa doesn't say it aloud, but he knows it's because Yoshikawa is already on his team. Kojima then comments that even if all this is true, a week isn't nearly enough time to do anything. But just as Suwa is about to say something, his phone rings. It's Haragi. She had mentioned she would message him about his work shift, but now he realizes this is the opportunity he needs later. The group arrives at Haragi's martial arts gym. The others are confused, asking what this meeting is really about. Endo wonders if Suwa is actually planning for them to learn martial arts. Now Akari is present too, along with Yoshikawa and Kojima. Out of all of them, Akari seems to be the only one genuinely excited to be there, mainly because it gives her another chance to see her beloved senpai. Soon Hiragi arrives, apologizing for making Suwa wait. She thanks him for bringing everyone, and then looks around at the group, asking if these are the people here for the trial lesson. Endo, immediately lighting up with a grin, turns to Suwa and eagerly asks who the gorgeous woman is. Even Akari seems impressed, admitting internally that Haragi looks incredibly cool. Haragi explains that if they enjoy the lesson, they're welcome to sign up for more. Then, recognizing one of the faces, she points out that one of them, the one who fought with Suwa before, is here as well. She clearly remembers Kojima. Suwa quickly clarifies that it's not like that anymore, explaining that they're friends now. Kojima confirms this by raising a fist, and the two share a fist bump, followed by a friendly hug. Haragi seems pleased by the gesture, and says it's good to hear. She then turns to Akari, asking if she's also here to take part in the lesson. Akari quickly responds that she's just here to observe, curious. Suwa asks Endo why Akari decided to tag along. Endo shrugs, saying she just came on her own. Akari then adds that she thought it might be interesting content, more importantly. She dramatically announces that she's there as the love interest of senpai, that's the role she wants to play. Though understandably baffled, tries to make sense of what she's talking about. Endo suddenly gets emotional warning Sua, that if he ever makes Akari cry, he'll make him pay. Sua can't help but feel lost in the nonsense. Around him, Hiragi laughs warmly, clearly amused by how chaotic things always are when it comes to Sua, despite it all. Sua is just relieved. Hiragi's the one with him. He quickly brings everyone's attention back to the purpose of their visit. This wasn't the time for jokes. It's time to get started with training. At that moment, a notification appears. Training, mode practice. At Hiragi Gym, acquired experience will be distributed among team members. This is exactly what Suan needed, just like before the Tsuchiya fight. This could be the perfect opportunity to level up quickly. Turning to Hiragi, he asks her to make the training as intense as possible. Kojima and Endo begin whispering and giggling among themselves, making cheeky remarks about how getting intense with a fine woman like Hiragi is a little too wild. Yoshikawa, overhearing them, starts to wonder if Hiragi could really be that intense. She doesn't look it, at least not at first glance, but then Hiragi suddenly shoots them a sharp, menacing look. Her expression changes so drastically that it silences the room. Everyone instantly tenses up. Even Sua is caught off guard, stunned by how different Hiragi becomes when she's serious. A few moments later, another voice joins the scene. A young man steps into the gym, smiling as he comments on how lively things seem. He says, "It's been a while since he last saw Sua," and Sua quickly realizes it's Hiragi's younger brother. Ayumu greets them casually and offers to help his sister with the training. Hiragi thanks him but assures him that she has it covered. She figures that's enough for today. Anyway, everyone looks completely exhausted. They've clearly hit their limits. Carrie, however, isn't impressed. She calls them all pathetic, with her usual smug tone. Sua, watching his team barely holding themselves up, silently agrees. Given their current levels, this much effort is to be expected. Still, he notices their levels are already starting to rise, and that gives him a bit of hope. Ayumu then points out how quiet Sua has been. He mentions that he heard Sua was strong. Wakana told him as much, and he proposes a sparring match as soon as he says it. A notification appears for Sua. New challenger Ayumu, reward high EXP. Sua recalls that Hiragi once mentioned her brother also practices martial arts according to the system. He's at level 30. Sua has faced stronger opponents, but something about Ayumu feels different. Hiragi seems concerned by the idea, but Ayumu assures her that he'll go easy. He starts throwing a few practice punches in the air. Sua watches in awe. The movements aren't flashy, but every strike is razor-sharp, deliberate, and clearly well-trained. Skill level is undeniable. Ayumu then steps into the ring and asks if Sua is up for it. Akari immediately gets excited and starts prepping to record the match, thrilled by the chance to capture another Sua battle. Sua hesitates, briefly weighing his options. After a moment of consideration, he nods and accepts the challenge. Akari cheers, even louder, bouncing with enthusiasm. As the match begins, Ayumu seems pleased and says, "That's exactly what he likes to hear." He then asks Hiragi to get Sua some gear. Hiragi, a bit concerned, reminds Ayumu that she really doesn't want Sua to get hurt. Sua understands. He doesn't have much of a choice. He wants to test himself. This is his first real battle against someone who isn't a gang fighter. Is eager to find out just how far his fighting game skills can take him. He grabs the training gear, gets ready, and steps in front of Ayumu. Ayumu notices he's not wearing any headgear and asks if he's sure about that, but Sua simply says that he needs to get that stronger. He tells Ayumu to come at him with full strength. With Sua at level 25 and Ayumu at level 30, the battle is about to begin. Ayumu nods and says he'll make the match worth Sua's time. Then, without further delay, they get into position. Sua stands ready, waiting to see Ayumu's first move. At first glance, Ayumu doesn't seem particularly intimidating, but as the seconds tick by and Ayumu doesn't make a move, he tells Sua not to hold back, taking that as a signal. Sua launches a clean combo. He attacks with a series of punches, but Ayumu blocks all of them. When Sua follows up with a kick, Ayumu smoothly ducks under. Sua tries to counter with a straight punch, but Ayumu responds with his own attack. Sua raises his guard and blocks it just in time, surprising Ayumu, but Sua feels confident. He can clearly see Ayumu's movements. He recognizes the pattern, a jab, followed by a right low kick. Sua blocks both and counters with a light punch of his own, but Ayumu dodges it effortlessly. His movements are sharp and polished. It's clear that this is a very different kind of opponent. Still, Sua manages to land a clean hit. His fighting game instincts are kicking in perfectly. Carrie cheers loudly for her senpai. Thrilled by the match, Endo is impressed, commenting that Suwa's actually pretty amazing. Ayumu doesn't seem quite as terrifying as the rumors had made him out to be. Meanwhile, Yoshikawa and Hiragi silently watch from the side, their eyes fixed on the unfolding match. Suwa feels confident, like he can finally do this. He's clearly stronger, or so it seems. But just as he's about to throw another punch, Ayumu suddenly says that he sees it now. He's figured Suwa out. With a calm tone, he announces that it's finally his turn. In that instant, something strange happens. The level 30 display on Ayumu begins to flicker. Then with one powerful strike, Ayumu lands a devastating punch. Suwa is stunned. The force behind it is unlike anything he expected. His health drops drastically. He wonders if he let his guard down somehow. He was watching Ayumu's movements so carefully, and yet now he can't believe what he's seeing. The level 30 indicator is glitching. Before he can fully process it, a kick comes flying at him. Suwa tries to stay calm and resets his stance. Even now, he can still see Ayumu's movements clearly. Another punch comes fast and strong, but Suwa calculates that Ayumu takes a second to recover. After that, straight, right. If he times it right, he can guard and follow up with a guaranteed punch combo. But just as Suwa moves in to attack, Ayumu's next strike comes sooner than expected. Suwa is already mid-animation. He can't cancel out or adjust. He takes a crushing uppercut directly to the chin. His gauge drops to 0 kale from the sidelines. Hiragi quickly calls out to Ayumu. He looks back, visibly flustered, and apologizes, says he got too into it. Suwa's moves were so impressive that he lost himself in the fight. Akari rushes forward, concerned, while Yoshikawa also calls out to Suwa. Suwa, still down, assures them he's okay. His health bar slowly reappears, saved by the training mode system. Even so, the impact still shakes him. Ayumu walks over and asks again if Suwa is alright. He adds that Suwa is seriously strong. He hadn't expected that, but noticing the expression on Suwa's face, Ayumu chuckles a little and says it looks like Suwa isn't entirely convinced when Ayumu tells him that he didn't do anything special. He just took advantage of Suwa's weakness that catches Suwa off guard. He hadn't considered that Ayumu raises a finger and points directly at him, ready to explain exactly what that weakness is. The way Ayumu points directly at Suwa's face, Endo immediately wonders aloud if Suwa's weakness is just being ugly or something. Kojima, without missing a beat, says, "That's old news." Hiragi quickly cuts in, shouting encouragement to Suwa, telling him not to let it get to him, especially since Ayumu is aiming to go pro. This surprises Suwa. But Ayumu quickly corrects her, telling Wakana to wait a moment. He insists he's operating on a completely different level than some amateur. To prove his point, Ayumu throws another punch the moment it comes. Suwa instinctively puts up his guard. Ayumu points out that this reaction itself is the proof. Suwa's reflexes are already too sharp to be considered anything close to amateur, he says. Suwa must have noticed it too. That's when it hits Suwa. He realizes that he's been relying too much on his eyes. The realization strikes hard. In fighting games, it's common sense to watch the opponent closely and never miss frame advantages, and that's exactly how he's been fighting in real life as well. He then asks if Ayumu baited him using that habit. Ayumu confirms it. He explains that Suwa's techniques are too clean. His attacks are so precise and systematic they feel scripted, like something straight out of a video game, and once an opponent sees through the pattern, countering becomes easy. Suwa feels the weight of that truth. Yes, of course, they are game techniques. That's what he's been using all along. But if relying on his vision is his weakness, how is he supposed to fight without it? Ayumu tells him that it's not about seeing less. It's about seeing more. He needs to pick up on visual cues that go beyond just what's directly in front of him. That kind of awareness only comes with real combat experience. Suwa then notices a notification confirms that his spar with Ayumu Hiragi is cleared. Still puzzled, he reflects on what Ayumu said. His eyes are a weakness, yet he needs to see more. Then another pop-up tells him his level has increased from 25 to 26. He keeps repeating the phrase to himself. Visual clues beyond what one is looking at. Could that be connected to the strange sense he had around Yurato too? That sense of power beyond what was visible. Maybe there's something deeper, some secret skill or instinct to unlock. Just then, Suwa turns his head and sees Yoshikawa punching a heavy bag, and even following up with a kick. He's clearly trying hard. Then, out of nowhere, Yoshikawa puts on a fake cool guy act, posing dramatically, as if he's some kind of martial arts master. Suwa is surprised, and asks where those moves just came from. Yoshikawa shrugs and says he's not entirely sure himself, but he feels like he got a heck of a lot stronger just today. A moment later, his level is revealed, 18. Akari's eyes light up with excitement as she notes that those are not bad stats at all. Even Hiragi takes notice, commenting that Yoshikawa definitely has real potential. Feeling confident, Yoshikawa says that it's not just his brain that's cool. Suwa, watching all this, has to admit to himself that training mode is amazing. Yoshikawa, powered up that much already, then the others must have leveled up too curious. He checks the rest of the team. Kojima is now at level 14, and Endo at level 16 experience he gained from the sparring match with Ayumu must have been shared with them. Realizing this, Suwa decides he needs to figure this system out more. He turns to Ayumu and asks if he'd be willing to spar again tomorrow. Suwa knows he needs more experience, more real combat, and more strategic practice no matter what, but Ayumu explains that he's actually leaving for a training camp tomorrow and will be gone for a whole week. That single word week instantly sets off alarms in Suwa's head. He laughs nervously, but is clearly worried. Inside a week is all he has. This situation just keeps getting worse. A few hours earlier at Takasawa High School, Kanemaru groans about the awful paperwork he's stuck with. He wonders aloud if Hinazuka High will actually pay up the money. He turns to Hattori, asking for his opinion, but Hattori simply says he has no idea. If they don't, then it'll just be his turn. Kanemaru then asks the same question to Hiro, but Hiro doesn't respond directly. Instead, he flashes one of his usual creepy, unreadable smiles. His attention remains fixed on the security camera monitors in front of him. Hattori guesses that Hiro must be finding those feeds pretty entertaining. The scene then shifts to the actual footage. Hiro is watching Suwa's fight with Kanemaru. Hiro quietly observes Suwa and comments to himself that Suwa Hayate is definitely strong. Everyone except Kanemaru had been wiped out, and those guys weren't even their B team. But then Hattori asks what would have happened if it had been him. Instead, Hiro replies that if it had been Shin, well, he's already told him before not to judge things just by how they appear on the surface. He says he can tell there's more to Suwa than meets the eye. Hattori admits that maybe Hiro has a point, then glancing at the time he wonders aloud if it isn't about time. Hiro agrees and gets up to head out. Kanemaru asks whether Shizama-san called them regarding that matter and whether the two of them will be okay handling it on their own. Hiro reassures him, saying there's nothing to worry about, it's just a conversation between civilized people. Hattori also asks Kanemaru to hold down the fort while they're gone later. At a dimly lit bar, people greet Hattori and offer him a seat. One of them is none other than Shimizu, a Takasawa High alumnus, and now a Yakuza member. Hiro greets him respectfully, and Shimizu says he simply felt like catching up with his juniors. He invites them to order whatever they like, and then brings up their recent exploits, saying that they're really something else. Showing up at Takasawa, and immediately putting the upperclassmen in their place, he seems pleased, noting that it's only natural for the talented to rise to the top. Back in his day, he says, Takasawa wasn't nearly as soft. Hiro nods in acknowledgement. Then Shimizu mentions having heard a little rumor about where the two of them actually came from. He says he couldn't believe his ears. Just as he's about to dig into that topic, Hiro smoothly redirects the conversation. He asks what Shimizu really wanted to talk about. Surely there was a reason he called them here. At that moment, the atmosphere changes. Everyone around them starts watching with cold, red-eyed stares. Shimizu's smile turns sharp as he says it plainly. This month's payment hasn't come in yet. That's what he wanted to talk about still. He adds that there's no need to worry. He's not about to lose his temper. Even with cheeky punks like them, if they just forgot, they can settle things right now and pay up. But Hiro calmly responds that they haven't forgotten. He explains that they've actually been fortunate enough to pick up a few other jobs lately, so they've been quite busy. Then, with a composed smile, he turns the tables, suggesting that perhaps it's time they call it quits and cut ties altogether. Shimizu can't believe what he just heard from Murado, and calls him a little bastard still. He says that Mahiro doesn't exactly have the authority to make that kind of decision, but since he considers himself a generous man, Shimizu offers to spell things out clearly, for their own good, so they learn their place. One of the menacing guys near Hattori steps forward without warning. He throws a punch at Hattori, but Hattori simply glances at him, and in the next moment, that guy goes flying backward across the room. Hiro watches the whole scene in silence. The other menacing men glance down at Hattori, now on the ground, and one of them grumbles that these kids shouldn't get smart with their elders. But before he can say anything more, the same guy who punched Hattori suddenly finds himself grabbed by the head. Hiro slams him down hard without a word. Then, with eerie calm, Hiro repeats that there's no need to get violent, and suggests they talk this over peacefully to reinforce his point. He slams the guy again and again. Shimizu yells Mahiro's name in frustration, clearly fuming. Now around them the other men shout that these kids must be out of their damn minds. But Hiro doesn't stop. He continues to pummel the man beneath him, and says that if even their upperclassmen are gonna get involved, then so be it, with a terrifying glare. And a burst of red menacing aura radiating from him. Hero stares them all down. He asks if this kind of violence is really the only kind of conversation these beasts understand. Now visibly shaken, the others begin to step back. They whisper among themselves, wondering what the hell is wrong with this kid. Shimizu himself can't believe it. How could such a scrawny runt do something like this? One more guy steps forward preparing to fight, but Shimizu immediately tells him to stop. The man hesitates. Confused, Shimizu repeats himself. Firmly, he says it a third time. Louder, now stop. Finally, Mahiro releases his grip on the beaten man and steps back with the faint smile. He remarks that it looks like Shimizu-san is still human after all. Then he turns to Shin and tells him it's time to leave. Shin nods, saying he understands, and the two of them walk out together. As they exit, Shimizu glares after them and mutters through clenched teeth, "You little punks think you'll ever show your faces in this town." Again, after that, Mahiro turns around with a photo in his hand. In the picture, a beautiful woman is holding a baby. He remarks on how lovely she is, and casually asks if the woman is Shimizu's wife, Kawari. He also points out how adorable the child is, mentioning that she's currently the hottest topic at Takasawa. Everyone's dying to meet her. This immediately enrages Shimizu, but Mahiro simply smiles and says he hopes this will be enough to settle things between them. He bids Shimizu-san farewell and walks away. The men left behind can only stand there in frustration, silently watching him go on their way out. Hattori chuckles and tells Mahiro that Shimizu's expression was priceless. Mahiro, still calm, remarks that people from prominent families seem to enjoy throwing around grand speech when dealing with those beneath them, but then he corrects himself, saying they aren't like that. That's why they're strong. He turns to Shin, asking for his agreement, and Hattori nods with a smile. Then Hattori casually mentions he's suddenly craving meat and suggests they go eat something. The hero, however, says they should hold off just a little longer. His thoughts drift back to Suwa High. If Suwa turns out to be just another beast, he'll deal with it, but deep down, Mahiro hopes he'll be something more top-shelf material. Hattori gets excited and tells Mahiro to stop teasing him with thoughts like that. Just the idea of it is making him drool. Meanwhile, back at his place, Suwa sits alone, thinking if there's another way to improve. He knows he needs more real combat experience. But how? While he's mulling it over, something odd happens to screen. An update notification appears. Confused, he watches the progress bar tick upward. Once the update hits 100%, a new feature appears on his menu. Ghost. Suwa stares at it, having no clue what it means. He navigates the updated system and eventually finds it under training mode. Alongside the usual practice options, there's a new list showing names of people he knows, including Hiragi. Suddenly light bursts from the screen, and Suwa instinctively shields his eyes when he lowers his hands. He's stunned to see Hiragi standing right in front of him. He can't believe what he's seeing. And more shockingly, he can touch her, but he knows Wakana-san is supposed to be in her room right now. What's happening? Feels too surreal. Then a system prompt appears in front of him asking if he wants to begin training. No matter how Suwa looks at it, the person standing in front of him is undeniably just like the real Hiragi. He's completely stunned, but now it starts to make sense. This must be the ghost feature. Curious, he selects the option to begin training. The moment he confirms, Hiragi opens her eyes and suddenly throws a punch straight at his face. The impact feels real, exactly like getting hit in real life, and his health bar begins to drop. She doesn't stop there. She continues, striking him over and over before he can recover. She grabs him and tosses him hard. Suwa finds himself in an awkward state of panic, unable to even express how nervous he feels. A strange mix of fear and exhilaration rushes through him. Then Hiragi jumps on top of him and launches into a relentless ground attack. Desperate, Suwa starts yelling for her to stop, and just like that, everything freezes. He realizes there's no way he can bring himself to fight Hiragi, not even in this simulated form. Still, he can't deny how shockingly real all of this feels. Suddenly, his sister bursts into his room, yelling at him for being too loud at such a late hour. Suwa panics. He absolutely cannot let anyone else witness what's happening. He snaps at her to at least knock before coming in. His sister, now completely puzzled, takes one look at him and quickly backs out of the room, apologizing awkwardly, but she also mutters that if he's going to do that, he should at least be quiet about it. Suwa, still breathless, doesn't even understand what she means, until it clicks from her perspective. She couldn't see Hiragi at all. Judging by her reaction, she probably thought something completely different was going on. Either way, he's relieved she's gone. Still, he now knows for sure the ghost function is invisible to everyone else but Hiragi. This is a problem in more ways than one. That aside, this ghost training mode is a goldmine. He can finally get proper combat experience. Deciding to go all in, Suwa chooses to spar against Ayumu. Next he tries, using his flying thunder punch technique. But before he can land a single hit, Ayumu counters with a swift kick that drops his HP to 0 inches an instant. Another KO. Thankfully, training mode has auto recovery, so he quickly gets back up and selects Taniguchi as his next opponent. He goes on the offensive, trying to land a few punches, but Hanaguchi easily retaliates with a punch to the face. Suwa is down again. Outside, some random students notice Suwa, now repeatedly getting floored by invisible opponents. They pause and whisper to each other, wondering what the heck is wrong with this weird guy flailing around by himself. One of them suggests maybe they shouldn't stare too long. It's just too creepy, despite all his efforts. Suwa still isn't getting it. He tries, focusing on things beyond visual information, but it's not clicking. But this time he chooses to spot or against Tsuchiya again. He doesn't even know what he's supposed to be looking for. As the fight begins, Tsuchiya launches a punch. Suwa picks up on the movement. It's a 1-2 combo, so he decides to respond with a burst attack, but once again, Tsuchiya counters cleanly with a right high kick straight Suwa's face. Another knockout. It was nowhere near what Suwa predicted. He's baffled. Feels like he's fighting blind now. He starts to wonder, how did he even manage to beat someone like Tsuchiya before, when right now, in ghost mode, he's getting completely destroyed. This is rough. Even if it is just training, then it hits him the training mode itself might hold the key. He digs through the settings and finally finds an option labeled Ghost versus Ghost. If he can't beat them directly, maybe he can learn something by watching their fights. From the outside, he selects the matchup between Tsuchiya and Taniguchi, their known rivals, and he's curious to see which one actually comes out on top as the battle starts. Tsuchiya, at level 75 versus Taniguchi. At level 76, the two go at it full throttle. They're evenly matched. Exchanging heavy blows, Taniguchi swings. Tsuchiya ducks and counters. Tsuchiya strikes, Taniguchi blocks, and returns a punch that lands cleanly, but then Tsuchiya kicks Taniguchi across the face. It's a brutal back and forth, but Suo quickly realizes something important. Neither of them was going all out during their fights. With him, they're clearly operating on a whole different level right now. Eventually Taniguchi goes down. Surprised, Suo restarts the simulation again. Taniguchi loses. A third time, same result. It makes no sense. Taniguchi is the higher level of the two, so why does he keep losing? Suva starts to wonder if this is like character matchups in fighting games, where your stats don't tell the full story. But no, it feels deeper than that. There's something else at play. In the next round, it looks like Taniguchi might finally win. Tsuchiya's health is low, and his next attack appears predictable. Taniguchi seems poised to block and counter for the win. But once again, what Suwa expects doesn't happen. Uchiha throws what looks like a punch, but it turns out to be a feint. He follows it up with a devastating kick straight to Taniguchi's face. Landing another knockout, Suwa is left stunned. He was sure it was going to be a right straight. He didn't catch the feint at all. But as he replays the moment over and over in his mind, something clicks. There's definitely something there, something beyond the obvious ghost mode. Is more than just a simulation. It's a goldmine. He realizes how useful this feature can be. Maybe he should try it out with other characters as well. Just then, unseen by Suwa, someone else is shown watching him quietly from the shadows. Later at Hiragi, gym training wraps up for the Hiragi announces the end of the session, and Endo lies flat on the ground, completely exhausted. Hiragi encourages everyone to keep practicing now that they've joined, but Endo just groans that she's basically a demon. Meanwhile, Yoshikawa reflects that sweating it out after school isn't so bad after all. Suwa, however, looks completely worn out. A full night of ghost mode training with zero sleep has taken its toll, and despite all his effort, he still hasn't figured everything out. Akari walks over and hands him a bottle of water. Noticing how rough he looks, Suwa thanks her. He's surprised she came again today, and mentions how close the two siblings seem, but Akari shakes her head, saying, "That's not really the case." She explains that her brother has changed lately. He never would have done something like this before. She figures maybe Suwa had something to do with that and admits it makes her happy. Suwa denies having anything to do with Endo's change, but in his mind, he remembers how Endo used to bully him not too long ago. Still, there's no way he'd mention that to Akari. Then Akari suddenly notices that her favorite streamer's broadcast is about to start. She decides to head home. Suwa asks if she'll be okay going back alone, but she assures him she's fine, and asks him to take care of her brother and the others in the meantime. As she walks home alone, she smiles to herself, thinking how she got to talk a lot today too. She decides that she definitely wants to come again tomorrow. But just then, out of nowhere, shadowy figures appear from the darkness and grab her completely unsuspectingly. Once they grab Akari, one of the men tells her to stop struggling, calling her a brat. That's when Akari realizes these are the same guys she saw back at the live concert event. Another one of them tells her to be quiet and cooperate, assuring her it'll go easier that way. But Akari suddenly bites down hard on his hand, making him scream out in pain. She bolts, sprinting down the street. The men shout after her, telling her to stop, but Akari yells back, calling them idiots and saying they're ridiculously persistent, especially after her senpai already beat them to a pulp. But just as she rounds a corner, another one of the men, looking annoyed that he has to deal with this, steps forward and smacks her across the face, knocking her to the ground with Akari down. They quickly lift her up and carry her away, muttering an apology to someone named Oshiro-san. As they leave, Akari, dizzy and in pain, thinks about her brother and about her senpai. Meanwhile, Yoshikawa asks, "What's up with Sua?" They've been walking for a while, and Sua's been unusually quiet. Yoshikawa notes how serious Sua looks, like something's bothering him. Sua brushes it off and says it's nothing, but Kojima also chimes in, questioning whether it even makes sense for them to keep training. Like this, they're really gonna take on Takasawa. Shouldn't they be gathering everyone? First, Endo agrees and says they need to get in touch with Tsuchiya. He's been trying really hard, but Tsuchiya hasn't even read his messages. Kojima says he's messaged him too, but no reply there either. No one knows what Tsuchiya's doing. Even for them, he's kind of a mystery. Sua, meanwhile, thinks to himself that everyone's leveling up is going smoothly, but after yesterday's fight it's become even more clear. Tsuchiya's strength is absolutely necessary if they're going to face Takasawa. But more than that, there's something even more important suddenly. Sua speaks up, he apologizes, saying there's somewhere he needs to be. The others are a bit confused, but he just tells them that they'll train again tomorrow. He'll see them then, as he walks off. Yoshikawa watches him go, thinking that something is definitely off with Sua. Later, Sua is seen holding some cash. He reflects on things, thinking how fights, if they can be avoided, definitely should be. But he's gone and withdrawn all his part-time job savings, which means he's completely broke now. If only he could somehow negotiate. Using the money he has, they might actually be surprisingly reasonable. My hero at least came to talk things out that give Sua some hope. But then, suddenly, someone speaks from behind him, asking what he plans to do with that paltry sum of money. It's Yoshikawa. He steps forward and reminds Sua that he already tried to make him understand. Don't underestimate Mr. Cool Brain, he says, with a smirk. Sua wants to settle things with Takasawa. Using just that money, that's way too naive, Yoshikawa tells him. There's no way those guys would agree to something so simple. Still, Yoshikawa adds, maybe it's worth a try. He says he can probably scrape together around 100,000 yen. That shocks Sua. That's a huge amount. He can't believe Yoshikawa would even offer that. He asks if Yoshikawa is really sure. And then he starts to tell him how much he means to him, how Yoshikawa is his best friend. But before he can finish, something suddenly hits him hard. A sharp pain pierces his head. He grabs his temples and starts screaming. The strange sound in his head is back again. He's no longer in normal reality mode. Then a system notification pops up. Emergency mission track Endo Akari's whereabouts. Time limit, 30 minutes. Sua is stunned. He has no idea what's going on. Why would he suddenly be tasked with tracking down Akari? And then right on cue, his phone rings. It's Endo. Endo asks if Akari is with Sua. Sua replies, no, he hasn't seen her. Endo says, alright, got it, but his voice is uneasy. He adds that Akari hasn't come home yet, and he has no idea where she could be. Then he hangs up. Sua's mind races. Timer on the mission is already ticking. Now he gets it. This mission is about Akari. Something's happened to her, but how is he supposed to find her? He has no leads. Then suddenly, he notices something on the ground, an arrow glowing, faintly pointing in a specific direction. He's confused. Where did this come from still? He has no time to hesitate. Meanwhile, in a darker part of town, a group of men stand around, clearly on edge. One of them asks what they're supposed to do. Now, another responds that they should just follow the orders. They won't be able to find them anyway. Akari lies on the ground nearby, bruised and weak. That same idol Sua encountered before appears. Again, watching her with a disturbing smile, he mutters to himself that my hero will be very pleased once he sees this back on the streets. Sua keeps running, following the glowing arrows. He wonders if this is some sort of message. Maybe Akari is helping him find her. But with the timer still ticking down and his gut churning, he knows something's very wrong. Yoshikawa, still confused, calls out to him, but Sua doesn't stop. He just shouts back, I have to go now, and he sprints forward chasing the trail. Comment now if you want more.